Yeah?
Hell yeah. Just when you thought there was nothing left for you to do with your night, the Revolver Podcast, Mama Hot Flash, crew is hot, always doing you right. With a fresh take on gaming weekly, PCs, consoles, and handhelds. Bump what you heard since birth on this earth, we know that the future belongs to the nerds. Revolver Live. What you say? Revolver Live every Sunday at 6, bringing that gaming magic to your life. Doing it live on Twitch to show that you don't want to miss. Be sure to subscribe. Crack yourself a brew. If at work or you who now, you can join the crew for the ride. Xbox, mobile, and hot topics around the nation. To gaming rigs, headsets, hardware, and PlayStation. Shout out to Joe. Can't you see him glow? Token brother brought the flow. Now it's time for the show. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Revolver Live, the gaming podcast. Are we going to do gaming podcast?
I mean, sometimes we talk about games.
The sometimes gaming podcast.
Might as well just break down and call it the Dick Podcast.
The Dick Podcast says from the past, the future belongs to the nerds. I'm ABC Gamer today, joined by 4 co-hosts. That's right, you got them. You count them. I know your eyes are like deceiving you. Who's this new guy? We got ourselves an amazing and very special guest today, and we're going to unwrap him in just one moment. But before we do that, let's get to the old heads. Briar Rabbit.
Yo, what's going on?
This week?
Yo, I am feeling good. I'm ready to cheat in some Destiny. Really looking forward to that. We got a topic about it later, so I'll save it for then. I've been playing a lot of Hunt with Gary. We are really enjoying that game. I know we talked about it at length a little bit ago, but man, I am so in love with that game. And the real thing I'm curious about right now, Beasley, is your PC. So I can't wait till you introduce that topic.
Whatever do you mean, Gary?
Hello.
How you doing this week, brother?
Good. I mean, looking at the lineup here, I think we took the hashtag Day Without Women far too literally, because we literally have a podcast without women there with our guests. We thought there one opportunity to bring gender diversity in, and we leapt at it, full, both feet first. I'm
look at
good.
Charlie's legs; it'll make you feel better.
If that doesn't help with our feminist audience, I don't know what will. But yeah.
And I just got a copyright strike.
Immediately. I'm good, man. I'm good. As I said, me and Briar have been hitting up the Louisiana swamps. I've watched Briar make really ungodly love to a spider-like demonic creature at least once.
No means no,
week.
Spider. No means no.
No means no.
It was good times. And I've been playing some Destiny I Am Banner on PC. I've been in the matchmaking queue for 72 hours so far, still waiting. Confident that a game will start soon.
Are you fucking? You're being facetious now, right?
No, it was. I am being taking the piss. It was 65 hours.
Well, thanks for clearing that up. And just to confuse the other hosts, Ryan, how you feeling this week?
Which one of us?
You literally confused me. I'm like, I'm not gonna fall for this shit.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
I knew it. I had to try. Come on, I had to try. How you doing, Wilson? How you feeling this week, man?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. I got bit by the Fortnite fever a little late. For the past week, been going to work, coming home, just playing Fortnite. And
You're a good man.
like, it's cool and all. Like, I get it. Like, it is fun. Like, Bloom annoys the shit out of me, but I have a few clips with crossbows and snipers, and when those hit, every pleasure zone, man. It's a good time. So we've gotten some wins in. I'm getting good at building. I'm getting my hotkeys down. I'm being toxic. I'm emoting on people before I shoot them down, and all that good stuff. So I'm learning, but I'm just buying time till the 27th, which is going to be freaking awesome, because not only is that my birthday, but Destiny 2 is going to be getting a much needed makeover.
We got 3 birthdays this month. Beasley's birthday is tomorrow. My birthday is the 15th on Thursday. And your birthday is the 27th, the day that... Gary, when's your birthday?
Not this one.
Irrelevant.
I don't know. Maybe we need to rethink our co-host here.
between this
So if you
week
have a
and
March
next,
birthday,
And you want to be on Revolver Live.
I'm going to work on my birthday and get back to you guys.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You
we got a
guys are
special
ridiculous.
guest this week. We have Ryan from On Air PC. So when you see us tweeting about On Air PC, or you see us showing off some of the builds he's done, like Beast's brand new computer, Ryan is the guy behind that. He's the guy that answers the phone. He's the guy that answers your questions. Ryan, how you doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
Great. Thank you for coming on, man. So what do you do? What's On Air PC all about?
So the basic fundamental behind it is not just a gaming PC, a PC that you're going to get that's going to be built for podcasting, for streaming. Customer service is kind of the big thing. Not only do you buy a computer and you don't know how to set it up for streaming or gaming, you can call us and we say, all right, we're going to walk you through how to get you set up. We'll go and remotely help you get set up. We're going to teach you.
And that's exactly what he did. Let me just quickly jump in here because I told you guys last week during the initial setup of me buying this immaculate and very beautiful piece of hardware that I received. I was talking to Ryan about what I wanted, and he really ran the gamut as far as really isolating my wants and my needs. He wanted to know exactly what I had already, what I didn't have, what I wanted to do. And he just kind of he narrowed down exactly the hardware specs I needed to do that. And judging by what I see today, because I hooked this thing up last night. I was working in my other job all night last night, but I hooked it up last night at around 12:30 a.m. And I sent out a tweet, and I didn't expect to even get a tweet back or anything, but I got a phone call back. And first he sent me a text and asked me, was I able to talk about, some of the things that I received. And he told me that hey, look, I'm going to be here to help you. This morning, he kind of remotely took over the PC and did some troubleshooting and got everything up and running smooth for me. To me, when you spend money, and that's what we do in life, it makes you feel good when you're spending money with a company and individuals who care about you, the consumer. And Ryan, he's from the great state of Ohio. He is a Buckeye. You see the red shirt. I just rarely see this type of interaction and customer service. Usually it's 9 to 5. If after 5 o'clock, you're fucked. But this young man really genuinely cared about what's going on with me and my PC and helping me troubleshoot, helping me set everything up, because unlike you guys, I don't understand a lot of this stuff.
It'll come with time, and it'll come natural where stuff just starts clicking. My favorite part about this whole process was the teaser pics that he posted on Twitter of the TI-82 calculator and the old gateway with 3 1/4-inch floppies on it.
No.
That was amazing.
That was really funny.
That was all my wife. I'm not that creative.
Really?
Yeah, she had control of the Twitter account. She was like, "Yeah, let's
She's
get it."
awesome.
Kudos. That was well trolled. That was fantastic. That was pro level.
Yeah,
Actually, we were sending that out while we were building it, so we didn't actually have pictures to show. So, but everybody was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" So we were like, "We got to give them something." And so she just took over and said, "Here it is."
It was perfect.
I really appreciated the keyboard that was basically the bottom of it was missing, and you could see the table under the keys. That was a very special touch. We're really happy to have you here today, Ryan. I think that, like I told the guys last week, I haven't seen you until today, pre-show, but I made a friend. I made a purchase, and I think for me, I made probably the biggest change in my gaming life. I told you guys previously that hurts were things I didn't understand as a console gamer. Gary, who talked me into buying virtually every piece of hardware that I bought, son of a bitch, was explaining to me, the pros and cons of these types of pieces of hardware. And last night and today, running some of the games I already had on Steam was such a different kind of experience with new hardware that my wife was sitting here, my kids were sitting here, my sons were sitting here watching me play some of these games, PUBG and Left 4 Dead 2, and they were just I was awestruck. We were all like, how the hell is it moving? And my 7-year-old Nova, she said, "Dad, it is so smooth. It is so smooth. I can't believe it." And so now I want to buy.
You still had the monitor on 60 hertz.
On 60 hertz?
Yeah. Even your kids were like, "Damn, you were a console pleb." Gary was right. We're kidding, by the way.
I just wasn't used to seeing this type of having this kind of experience, and I understand, Justin, Inner Black Ninja. Now I'm going to be fucked because now I've experienced it, and it's like getting red pilled in the Matrix. You can't unsee it. Moving around with this mouse and keyboard today, and just feeling like a damn ninja in Left 4 Dead, playing with other people, learning that, and I really was feeling like a fucking G.
It's like
BC
drugs,
looks up
Beasley.
from BC looks up from his keyboard and goes, "I know kung fu."
Yeah.
The Matrix, like,
It's like drugs, Beasley. It's like I used to do a little, but a little wouldn't do it. So a little got more and more, right? It's like you get a little taste. 80 frames per second looks good. What does 120 frames per second look like? What does 240 frames look like?
now I've maxed out my frames. Now I need M.2s, and now I need, multiple SSDs and all this other stuff. How we talked about SLI, multiple gaming graphics cards.
Oh my,
it's just never enough.
Just don't ever call Briar and ask him for a recommendation on a graphics card. I'll tell you real quick. I called him one morning because I had an older graphics card. I built a new computer. I'm driving to the store to go pick up. I'd already picked out a 1080. Told my wife I'm going to make the purchase. I called Briar. I'm like, so I need your help. I need you to talk me out of a 1080 Ti. He goes, I want all my friends to see all the frames. And then he hangs up on me. Calls me back a couple minutes later and gives me some bullshit about, I don't get good cell phone service in my house.
He got so emotional. I just want my friends to have all the frames. Slam. Thought about it. Calmed down. Felt a little guilty. Called you back.
Yeah. You should get a 1080 Ti.
Then spent the next 40 minutes convincing me about how it's so much better to play Destiny with the 1080 Ti and all the frames are unlocked.
Right. Don't mind about the 1080 Ti. Get him the Titan.
So
the Titan.
Yeah. So, needless to say, in this PC, there's a 1080 Ti. Thank you, Briar.
You're welcome.
What you need.
Before we go any further, for the people who are watching us for the first time, Revolver Live is a gaming podcast with 6 revolving topics. You can be a part of the show by submitting your topics for consideration at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. That's revolvergamescast@gmail.com. We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. That's twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. We then share the video on YouTube at Briar Rabbit's YouTube channel and my channel, Beastly Gamer. If you're unable to see the live feed in the video format, check us out on podcast form on Podbean, iTunes, or your favorite podcast service provider. And with that, this is episode 32 of Revolver Live. We are getting fucking old. It feels good. Man, I got grays in my beard. I'm feeling.
The episodes have caught up with my age, so we have finally.
We might be on episode 34 for my 34th birthday.
That would be fantastic.
Look at that.
No, that's too much, man. That's out there. It's a sign.
Hold on for a second, Wilson. You're older than Gary?
Yeah, I know, right? I act like I'm 12 years old. He has the baby face. I just act like I'm 12.
I was just telling the guys I thought you were like 27 or 28. I thought you were Kate's age. Wow, that's a compliment, man.
I thought he was underage. That's why I hadn't made a pass yet. But now that I know,
now you know,
it's open season.
Open season, bro. Open
It's legal.
I'll see you at Guardian Con.
That's what I'm talking
First drinks on Briar.
It's about to get real uncomfortable.
Let's see. We can have an uncomfortable off. See
nobody do to you what the spider did to him.
Oh,
and that was rough times. Beastly.
Yeah.
Seeing as we're talking about your PC, and that is our first topic this week, you joining the PC elitists from your console roots. What I really want to know is, you've not really had time to immerse yourself fully, and I know that you've only just set your monitor at 144 hertz, but for someone that's coming from the console completely cold into the world of PC gaming, it's the first time you've had a keyboard and mouse in front of you, first time you've had to navigate Steam as an ecosystem that's not just, to play something with us quickly, and, had to look at how the GeForce experience works, or, updating your GeForce drivers. How have you found it? Is it as inaccessible as people think, or is it something that you're looking at and thinking, this really isn't as complicated as I thought? I just want to know what
it's not as complicated, and not nearly as complicated as it seemed before for me, being on a laptop. Having this keyboard made a world of difference. Let me just say that. The laptop, it was completely flat. The keys just had like small little lines in between them. So my hand was sliding. Yeah, my finger was sliding around trying to find what I was doing, and I couldn't get in cars in PUBG. You guys remember the story.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Nobody
have it.
could. It was bugged. You'd hit F like 5 times, and your guy would get in and out of the car. But anyway, continue.
Gary, I haven't found any issues. In fact, I have more of a desire to delve into it. I was telling Ryan from Owning Your PC earlier today that my initial plan to play for 6 weeks straight with mouse and keyboard is in full effect. I don't want to touch a controller. There is much more freedom of movement. Playing games with this kind of speed is unreal to me. And like you said, Gary, I've only been doing 60 hertz, but compared to what I normally see on my consoles at 30 frames per second for a majority of the games, uh, it just kind of blew my mind to play it. And so earlier today, I had to go and make some lunch for Kate. And when I made lunch, I heard this monitor come on, and I came around the corner. Briar, you were talking to Kate while she was playing games.
I was talking to Kate on Steam.
And she was playing Left 4 Dead, and then she wanted to try some other games, and she just looked like a natural. So I'm thinking at some point, because I've always done this, we've done this as a family. Every time I upgrade and get something, I usually do the same for her. This fucking PC is beautiful. If you guys haven't seen it, please check out our Twitter. It is really magnificent. And I think I'm going to have to make that leap probably another time, sometime in the future for her. But Gary, I feel like I'm at home, man. I could say it and actually mean it. I feel like I'm at home. Just experiencing this, having a gaming monitor, a gaming mouse, a nice monitor, and a PC that can run games the way they're supposed to be ran. It changes the whole dynamic for me.
It'll be fun, Beastly, over time, because I've gone through this recently. I think Wilson's gone through this recently. Is kind of like the transition from being, playing with a controller with every game to all of a sudden like, all right, I'm going to do mouse and keyboard for a lot. It'll be fun to kind of watch your progression, because what I've found personally is that the skill ceiling for me is a new thing, right? It's like I have played on a controller for years and years and years and years, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I've got a brand new input method, and I find that my skill ceiling is different than it was with a controller. I had maxed out my skills with a controller, especially in FPS games. Like it just wasn't going anywhere anymore. But with mouse and keyboard, all of a sudden, there was a whole new world open to me, and I feel like I'm a better player now than I was before. Like in both, actually.
Right. I feel like there's something to be said with that. Like I'm totally the same way. But I feel like, at least with me, and I feel like me and you are pretty similar, Briar, when it comes to this. I'm sure some of the other guys can relate. Like growing up with controller and online gaming and stuff like that. Like online gaming hit much later in my life than most people's lifetime. But I just really didn't, like, I like doing good in video games. I like winning, but I was never that one to sit down and be like, I'm going to be one of the top 500 people in this game. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure if we all sat down and like, at a certain age, young enough, and sat down and said, I want to be, one of the, top 500, top 1,000 people in this game, we could have been. But now that we're being thrown into mouse and keyboard, whereas, Gary was born with mouse and keyboard, he'll tell you, he's been playing for that long, molded by it. But we are forced to be like, I have to get better at this. I want to get good. You know what I mean? I have to not only get good, but even just get comfortable on the damn thing. And I think that has a lot to do with why we're seeing so much progression. And that progression in itself is kind of, I don't want to say like addictive, but it's rewarding. You know what I mean? It's a personal goal with a carrot on the end of the stick. You can see yourself getting better, and you want to get better, and you're hitting keys without even thinking. And sometimes you pull up.
If it's new to you, then there's definitely something that you can gain out of gaining skills and learning skills. Interested, Ryan, to hear your gaming background. I mean, you're a PC guy now. You've got everything there. I know that PC is more of a business for you than, well, it's almost a business and a hobby, because we've seen you in Destiny. We've raided with you in Destiny 2. But interested to know, like, were you always a PC guy, or were you like back in the arcades, or where's your background in gaming?
Well, I mean, I'm 40, so yeah, arcades were a thing. Console and PC were always a thing. My house was always kind of like, whatever's fun, it's available to you, whether it's PlayStation or PC. So, I was brought up with PCs in the
Xbox.
house.
Never Xbox, apparently.
No, I mean, To be fair, my Xbox has a ton of dust on it, so it is what it is.
And it's something in common with millions of other Xboxes.
Well, my Xbox One X has a lot of dust on it that I'm sitting here. It's been booted up once since we brought it home. My experience, I mean, all the way back, I remember with my mom going to the arcades and playing Space Invaders, Pac-Man, all that kind of stuff. You know, Atari 2600. You know, I mean, it's been all over the place. But as far as a business, I've been doing computers for 22 years. But the consoles have been all the way along with them too. So,
nice,
you
man.
know,
Do you remember your first PC setup that was like yours? Like this was your creation station where you could do whatever you wanted to. Do you remember your first build or the first computer you had?
Pentium 1, 233 megahertz. 128 mega RAM was my first.
Mega of RAM.
Mega RAM.
My PC, my first
15-inch
PC.
CRT.
Mine would have taken a dump over that because it was a Pentium 2. You know, I had one more Pentium than you. That was my first.
My first PC was
back then.
My first PC was a Pentium 75 megahertz that I upgraded to a Pentium 125 megahertz, and that was a big change. I had 16 megabytes of RAM and paid over $300 for another 16 megabytes of RAM.
Who made that RAM? Sony? Shit.
No, that was the cheap stuff back then.
I can't even remember my first one. It was a Gateway that my parents got, and they didn't like it, and they ended up getting a whole new. They couldn't return it for whatever reason, and they're like, "Well, fuck it, we'll just give it to Ryan." And,
nice.
And ended up getting a whole new one, and that just changed my life. Having my old computer, especially like dial-up porn, changed my life.
I was just interested to know, Ryan, because I know that you've got a lot of experience in building PCs from a business perspective. But what I like is that you are a gamer and you're someone that enjoys playing the games as well. You know, it's not just a business for you; it's a hobby and a business. You know, you've got both sides covered. So, I was just interested to know where that passion came from and what you played. I mean, do you have like a favorite game of all time? If we could push you on that one, this is a good judge of character as well. I'm going to put you on the spot here and say favorite game of all time.
Well, this guy,
it's anything with anime, he'll love you.
Oh no, it's not an.
Just say Galgun.
No, I don't even know what the hell that is, honestly.
Gary's favorite game of all time.
You're off the show. Sorry. Can we exit this fifth window?
Yeah. Change it back.
No. Favorite of all time. It sounds like a little bit of a cop out. It's Halo, the first Halo.
Really?
On PC, you know. But
I had it on PC. I never owned the original Xbox. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Is that still playable on PC in any way?
Yes, I still have it. I think I sent you a photo of it one day when we were booting it up on PC.
We should do that sometime. That'd be fun.
It's on CD. I don't know if you can play it online. I don't know if the servers are still running.
No, we just all meet up somewhere and have a fucking LAN party. Record it.
Halo LAN party. Oh my God.
A guy I work with, Brian, showed me last week where they had a old school Xbox LAN party over his brother's house, and he showed me the video. He just spun around from the dining room. There was like 6 TVs, all these Xboxes connected, and these guys are playing through LAN. I couldn't believe it.
You guys see the new Duke controller that Microsoft is putting out there? Or they've got a third party putting it out there, but the original Xbox controller, they've got a screen in it that has the original Xbox logo, like the boot up animation that used to come up when you turned on your Xbox in the middle of the controller. Fucking thing.
The big
cool
ass controller like this?
Yeah, the Duke, the big one.
I hear there's been a couple of cop-outs on that, though. I hear they've put in modern shoulder buttons in it and stuff. Like, there's been a couple of modifications to the controller.
Well, they got to modify it to work with the Xbox One X. I mean...
Well, they have to modernize it a little bit.
Yeah, they have to update it to make people go, I want it.
Let me
want that thing. Thing was huge.
I wanted to quickly clarify something for you guys. I never wanted to be a PC gamer.
Yeah, we know.
God damn it, Brian.
You've worked hard there to bring you
I've watched all my friends leave the party over the last few years, starting back with the old Beastly Thought show. Inner Black Ninja, Not Too Nerdy, Rob Skull, Briar, and then we met this fuck, Gary. and Gary just said, "Hey, everybody, follow me."
Follow me. He's like the Pied Piper. Speaking of that, Beastly, our next topic, we're all switching back to console.
Yeah, we're gonna tell you why. There's some really good options
Before
out
we
there.
transition over to telling Beastly why we're leaving him on PC,
I'm gonna fucking come to your house, man. We're gonna talk about this fucking face to face, okay?
before we
Shit.
transition over, I do want to ask Beastly, because this is something we didn't cover off there, but what are you most looking forward to in PC? Because what I found was I started at least moving more onto PC and transitioning away from console originally. I found that I was exploring genres that I wouldn't typically play or trying to look at other areas of gaming. I mean, what is it that you're most looking forward to over the coming weeks? And obviously, you'll keep us updated as you go.
This whole thing is kind of like a huge rush for me. Of course, there are games on PC that I can't play on console. So I'm looking forward. Now I'm a part of that ecosystem. I can actually delve into it and try different genres. You're absolutely right. But something I've also noticed with a real mouse and a real display and a real PC is the freedom of movement is insane. It's totally insane. We talked about before, but when you're playing on a little tiny laptop that you only bought so you could fucking render videos in Sony Vegas, and it just isn't powerful enough to really do what you want it to do, or what you, at the time, I didn't know what it could do. Now I'm able to really experience it full throttle the way it's supposed to be, and that freedom of movement is almost like it's unlocking a superpower or something. It's so crazy that, I was, like I said, the games I've been playing, I don't have many on Steam, but I love Left 4 Dead. We should all play that sometimes too. But running through that game and having the kind of freedom of movement and just jumping around, being crazy and just feeling that way with this type of control kind of caught me off guard today. So I'm looking forward to really narrowing down and getting good at mouse and keyboard in the near future. And of course, seeing games play in ways that I haven't been able to play them before. I'm looking forward to buying The Witcher 3 on PC.
Well, what you should really be looking forward to, in my opinion, The Witcher 3 on PC. We'll see you in another year.
It's 150 hours on PS4, so he's going to redo it again. Why not?
I'm sorry,
like you, Gary.
That's one
what
of
are
my
you
favorite
talking
games
about?
of all time. The Witcher 3 is one of the best games I ever played in my life. I'm sorry.
We should just have a topic about. We should just have a topic one day about how much money Gary has made us spend.
Yeah, I think we should just have a weekly topic about The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Every week it comes up without fail.
Now
Every week.
I was talking to Ryan before we switched topics. He told me a very, very funny story. And to me, it's very endearing, Gary, how you come, you reach out and you touch people's lives. You make your presence known, and I think I
was wondering where you were going with that one. I'm glad you went with lives and not other things, because the court case is still pending on those, so we don't talk about that.
That's not what he touched.
Ryan was watching you and Briar stream the Hunt Showdown recently, and he was playing. And Ryan, would you mind elaborating and telling me the story, retelling the story you told me earlier today?
All right. So normally in my house, I'm the one that does all the cooking. And I was in the kitchen, and generally I put up, as my wife refers to, the rabbit guy stream every day while I'm making dinner.
That's how you want to be. That's how you want to be referred to. Brian.
The other name in my house is Side Piece, because I talk to Briar more than I talk to my wife sometimes. So I was trying to be nice. Anyways, so I'm watching the stream, making dinner, and my wife never does this. So she comes into the kitchen and she's kind of watching for a couple minutes, and she goes, "Oh, you're watching the rabbit guy." And all of a sudden, you hear bang, and there's a dead horse on the ground, and she goes, "Who the fuck is this British guy shooting a horse?"
Tell them what your wife does, Ryan.
My wife owns a boarding barn for horses, and between her and I, we have 16, and we have another 30 on the property, so we have horses. So she's a little pissed. She goes running into the other room. She grabs her purse, and she comes back to me. She's like, "Are you interested in buying this game?" I'm like, "Yeah, not really, because I don't know a whole lot of people that play it, and I play it at night, and everybody else plays during the day." And she pulls out $40 and throws it on the counter. She's like, "You buy that game, and if you ever get a chance to play with that British motherfucker, you kill him."
That's it. Anytime you want your wife to buy the game for you, just make Gary do something extremely offensive.
That's true.
That shouldn't be too hard to pull off, in all honesty.
Yeah. But he does it.
My modus operandi. That's how I operate.
He's always offensive, but he says it with that voice, and I just can't be mad at him.
Yeah, I think
It's a gift.
It's
a gift.
It's so sultry.
Is it a gift or is it a curse? Because when we were doing the sound test before the show and you heard your own voice, you got a little lost there.
I ejaculated. I'm not gonna lie.
No, but real quick before we move on, one thing I wanted to say, Beastly, what I feel that you should be the most excited about is that you have completed the Triforce, so to speak, or no, the Quad Force. You got the Nintendo product, you got the Microsoft product, the Sony, and now you got the PC. You're pretty much going to be able to play whatever game you want on whatever platform at this point.
It's a great way of looking at it.
You're not locked out. And when the Steam Summer Sale comes up, oh my goodness, man. You're going to be buying games that you're never going to play because they're so cheap. It's like going to the flea market and picking out digital games.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah,
That is so true.
Hook you up with free games as we seem to do now. Gifts from Steam, gifts from Gabe himself straight to your library.
Is it okay if I share that gift? If I let people know what you did, Gary?
It's welcome to. I mean, it's something that we're all going to do. I mean,
Gary, I turned on this PC, I reset it, and I got a pop-up from Steam, and Gary had gave me 2 amazing games. Doom was one. What was the other, Gary?
The BioShock collection. But
BioShock collection.
There's a twist
all
here to
3
this
of the
story.
games?
Nothing in life comes for free, and you know how I operate by now. You know what but basically, what would a drug dealer do if he's trying to get, he's trying to work as a pusher?
I know the answer to this. Gives you the first one for free, gets you hooked, and then he gets you on the next one. I know that swing.
I'm sure you
Doesn't
do,
when it's
Willie.
free.
I'm sure you do.
Felt real good when you saw that free promotion in your basket. You thought, this guy I can trust. This guy likes me. He'll never take advantage of me.
God damn you, Gary.
I included my PayPal address in that as well. Thank me later.
All right.
No, I think that was a great gift, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. That means a ton to me. Thank you. I would have thought it had been like hentai titties or something.
That
Like
comes later.
BioShock.
Those are coming.
Yeah, those
Doom?
are definitely coming.
I'm sure they are, bro. He already sold me hentai titties, and I bought them. I mean, he showed me before I actually paid for it. He explained to me why I needed it, and I was like, I should buy this. And then
I can't
bought
wait.
it.
I can't wait till you jump into Doom on a 120 or 144 hertz monitor. That game runs so smooth. It's a different thing. It really is a great game.
It runs so well on console, though.
Oh my God, it's different.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Oh shit! I need to start installing this right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Let's move on to the next topic. Me and Gary sent each
Wilson.
other, and Wilson found out that the Zim Apex is now available, and we've ordered them. So Destiny 2 on PS4 is back on, boys.
To be fair, I was still already on it, but now I'm gonna be
That's right.
As Briar would say, or excuse me, Gary, a cheetah. And we're not talking about the animal. We're talking about a cheater, as we would say.
So if
So
you
we
guys
did a
don't,
topic on this. So I was going to say we did a topic on this last week, didn't we, Briar, about the pros and cons of it, and man, the comment section was not happy.
well,
So I wonder.
apparently we
what they're
didn't
gonna do this
listen.
week. Yeah, there we go.
So if you don't know what a Zim is, it's basically it's a device that you plug into a console or a PC, I suppose, and it allows you to plug a mouse and keyboard in and emulate a controller using a mouse and keyboard. And since I've been talking to Gary, I've been really interested in this thing and trying it out. It's frowned on
Yes, it
in
is.
quite a few communities, including the Overwatch community, the PUBG community. For some reason, the Destiny community has embraced the Zim user, and I feel like
Because they
they've
got other
embraced
things to
us.
bitch about. Got way bigger things to bitch
Hold on,
about than
Brian.
somebody using Zim right now.
Didn't we have a topic on this last week?
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to checking this thing out. I understand it's cheating. I don't care. I'm still going to try it out. I can't
and
wait.
for the people who haven't known Briar as long as I have, his lingo has always been, I know it's cheating, and I completely agree with it. He's done that with the scuff controllers and everything else that he can get advantage in. He's never going to change.
Oh, yeah,
So
$250 headphones in Call of Duty.
you can hear a person fart. You're like,
It's not what you can do. It's what you can get away with.
wow.
I'm
mean, the
super
Zim
pumped
itself.
because I really enjoy playing Overwatch on console with my friends, even though they all own it on PC.
You can't
but we're
use
not-
that on Overwatch, Wilson.
Yeah, you can.
No,
You
you
turn aim
can't.
assist off. You can.
No, I'm saying you can't go using that. That's That's
Are
not.
you
Too much
kidding me? I'm a
shitting?
Hanzo main. I take enough shit. I'm gonna shit
Oh
on
my
everyone with that
God.
thing and teabag my way to diamond, baby.
Do your
I'm up.
thing.
I'm up there.
I do not
Going
endorse
in, and I'm
Wilson using that on Overwatch.
I'm just gonna have a pre-recorded
Gary.
message that just says Zim.
Why
after
is
I get
Overwatch
done.
off
Like,
limits but Doom isn't, Gary?
I'm a
Why
Hanzo
is-
man. I get enough shit. You think I'm scared of a little Zim
Because
trash talk?
Overwatch
Please.
Overwatch console is I guess it's a place where you're going to enter and disrupt a sandbox quite heavily. Precision aim is very highly rewarded in Overwatch. And something like Destiny, where there's such generous aim assist, you can compete like for like controller and
But it still doesn't
Zim.
make any sense. It's like it's a counter to your own argument. Any kind of assistance with a Zim is going to be assistance. If you're playing against someone with a controller, they're already at a disadvantage. But you seem to care more if they're at more
I mean, this
of a
is the equivalent
disadvantage.
of Wilson walking into a kindergarten and just drop kicking some kids left, right, and centre. That's what he's doing.
Well, we said we weren't gonna talk about that.
Pitches left and right. It's just really going to town. It's no for me.
That
The
sounds
Zim.
like hella fun, though. That sounds like a lot of fun, to be totally
That's
honest.
what he's going to be doing. I
Wait,
mean,
Zim or
I've
drop
bought it.
kicking kids.
I've
both.
rebought it partly to play Destiny because the Destiny community on PC is so small. The population is small. So whilst it is the superior game in almost every way, while there is this population crisis, I'll be able to dip back and play with some of the people on PS4 and Xbox that I haven't played with. I also, as I was saying to Briar, games like Horizon Zero Dawn that require precision aim, I'm going to play it with a keyboard and mouse just because it's a better way to play it. So I don't necessarily need to use it to get a competitive advantage. It's just the method of input that I prefer. I mean, you said yourself, Beasley, you're quicker, you're more responsive, you're more agile, more nimble. I want that in all of my games. So that's why I'm going to use it.
I'm just excited that I don't have to move all my shit around when I want to game. I can just plop down. I could have my PlayStation hooked right up to my monitor, my PC, obviously, and I could just game that way. That's really what I'm looking forward to the most. And
The worst part about it is that it's going to mean that I'm now going to have 3 keyboards on my desk and 3 mics on my desk.
You have a problem.
I've got one of these
first
things.
world problems.
I've got one of these, like, I don't know, half keyboards by Razer that I'm going to try
Yeah.
out with it. I'm hoping that solves the problem for me because, like, 2 keyboards is too much. It's one too many. Let's be honest. 3 is
I mean,
going to
you
be a
can-
nightmare.
I have
You can just
keyboards
get a,
operating everything someday. Briar's just gonna be a walking keyboard. He's gonna have them strapped to him, everything like keyboard.
Without
warrior.
getting too technical for the show, you can get a digital KBM switch, and that doesn't add any latency. As long as it's not an analog one, then you'll be fine, and you can use the same keyboard for both, as long as you don't want to use them simultaneously. So, there you go. I'm solving problems, putting out fires all over town here.
I mean, I'm happy to learn about all this stuff. The one thing that I do need, though, I need to replace this desk and get another one because my tower is actually too big for this desk. And I
It
want
begins.
God damn it. You're right.
No.
You know, I got enough room for my mouse. I mean, my mouse pad, but that's it. I don't have enough room for.
Look at this product placement.
Ooh,
right
look at
there.
that plug.
Shilling.
I have
Shilling
enough
hard.
room for the mouse pad.
Beasley.
Shameless.
That's a nice
Can I,
mouse pad. Why don't you describe that for our audio listeners?
Oh, it's a beautiful Revolver Live mouse pad made specially for our Revolver Live viewers. Look for that in our store coming very soon.
And
It
Beasley,
is very sexy.
if you were to purchase a PC from our guest business On Air PC, exactly what would you get in the Revolver exclusive loot crate?
The
What are we
loot
talking
crate.
about?
Well, the loot crate. The good thing about this mouse is if you like move your hand fast enough, it'll turn right into.
Whoa!
You're going to include a
Yobo.
Yobo. You're going
I
to give
don't
away a
just-
Yobo with every PC. Is that right? I think we've just lost every order. Every
I
order.
don't.
that was
I
coming
don't know if we can find Yobos, but the Revolver.
What's
loot crate
Dell's
is
number
going-
again?
You
The
literally
revolver
just put me
loot
out of business.
It'll include a Revolver mouse pad, Revolver vinyl decals. It'll include a Revolver T-shirt and a Revolver mug as well. One of these beautiful, sexy mugs. So if you guys are so inclined, you're looking to have a special PC built, it's going to be a Revolver decked out PC, and I think that's probably better than the technology itself.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out as well if it's illegal to send blood and semen, but if it isn't, you can look forward to that.
Right?
So
Can every PC like with a Revolver theme have a CD-ROM so that we have a cup holder for our Revolver mug?
Well, that might work out perfect.
It might work out.
Right. I tell you what, we should include Revolver Live cast member nudes on floppy disk. Right? So you've got to be dedicated enough to find somewhere that you can
OG
access it.
ones, dude, the ones that actually bend, like not the
Yeah.
what is it, the
So
2
you want-
1/4 inch
you want
one?
the-
What was that, the 3 1/4 inch?
the 5.5-inch
Or
floppy.
5.5 inch. Oh yeah, that way you really got to dig through like the archive to.
Is it too late to say that I could probably only fit on a 3.5-inch floppy? That 5.5's a little bit.
I need to know how big they come in.
Yeah, I think we're gonna
Need
struggle with
extra
DC on
long.
that one.
The ascended anaconda might need some.
We need to get Beasley a zip drive.
Oh no, better idea.
Yo, that was like the Betamax of its day. Like the zip drives, like that whole thing. Dude, zip drives look so cool when they first came out. I remember my teacher had one, and I was like, man, those things are gonna be the future. And he's like, no, these things are trash. And like shortly after, nobody had one.
Yo, do you know what? I think if the crew's going to put nudes anywhere, actually, come to think of it, can we get it on an HD DVD? Can someone burn it onto that? That's got to be the most dead tech. Anyone own an HD DVD player
I'm
anywhere?
sure people do.
I still do. I still have one. It's the Xbox 360 one.
The 360,
Yeah,
that
I
was
still have
$100.
it.
You paid $100 extra for that.
It plugged in with like a USB cable to the 360, and it played HD DVD. I
Had
still have like
5
3 or
movies.
4 movies. Yeah.
Yeah, you got 300 Children of Men. I think they were the launch titles. That was the big hitters. Good times.
I
They had a
remember that
nice box though.
thing.
They were the red box, weren't they? The red jewel case, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah,
What was
I'm
that?
over-
What was that little mini CD that looked like it came in a floppy drive? The mini disc.
Mini disc.
Mini
Oh,
disc.
mini.
Remember that one?
Sony
Okay.
proprietary, yeah.
Yeah.
Those were really cool. That was like the what Tom Cruise had in Mission Impossible, the Knock-less. There's a CD
Was
inside
it?
of a clear plastic case.
I've
Yeah.
never seen a mini disc get used. Like I've never known anybody who used one. I've never seen one in the wild.
Tom
when I worked-
Cruise.
When I worked in radio, that's how we did a lot of our commercials were on mini disc.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'd have 2 or 3 of them stacked up and then just plug in the mini disc and that would be our commercial play, before PCs came in.
I had a friend that had a mini disc player in his hi-fi stack. Because you remember before you used to get a stack, like you'd put like this is the tape deck, this is like the CD deck, this is
Yeah.
yeah, and he had one of the stacks was the mini disc player, and it had like mini disc recorder and other stuff like that. I think he paid like equivalent like $500 for this thing, and it must have got used for like a year before it was a demised technology. Feel bad
Yeah.
for the guy.
It seemed like it could be cool. I guess. I don't
We'll
know.
bring it
I
back.
didn't really think
Retro
about it
tech-
too much.
Retro tech is dope. Like looking back at some of the old failed retro tech, like some pretty cool stuff out there that was maybe a little bit ahead of its time.
Or
Some stuff-
behind.
Dreamcast.
Man, Eric Enns is in chat here. I think he's like talking to us from the fucking future. He's got a universal disc player, right? This plays Blu-rays, HD DVDs, SA CDs, and DVD A's. I don't know what the fuck they are, but apparently it plays it all.
SACD is like super audio CD. It's like a higher bitrate version of an audio CD. They didn't really catch on, but they sounded pretty good.
Literally,
Just-
if you have pornography on some sort of digital media, that player could access it. I'm pretty sure. It's like the Pandora's box of physical porn. Eric, we need to DM.
real quickly,
My
Briar,
Dropbox.
yesterday, Briar, when you were talking to me about my keyboard, I told you that I was waiting for the keyboard to arrive, and you said, "Well, keyboards aren't really that important. Just find a extra keyboard you got laying around somewhere and use it." I told Kate that it's, I guess for us and the people who watch the show, it's kind of jarring. I've never owned a desktop in my life. This is the very first one I've ever had. And so that's 13,869 days without a damn desktop. I had many laptops, but as we found out in the last few years, they mean absolutely nothing. And to me, that was kind of a jarring thing because everybody here has had PCs and grew up with them and have the parents gifted them. And, for me as a kid growing up, it was we grew up in a poor environment. PCs were like the future it was so far out of reach, the other side of the planet. And I kind of just stuck with that console mentality until finally one day I lucked up into some extra cash and sent it to Ohio for a really awesome PC. I just wanted to tell you that because you did mention that to me yesterday.
Well,
Just
speaking
fine.
of hardware, our next topic is what's the best purchase that you've ever made to improve your gaming? So really, what I'm focusing on here isn't games themselves, but the hardware. Maybe it's a console, maybe it's a new chair, maybe it's a controller. What's like the best hardware purchase that you guys have ever made that kind of improved your gaming?
First thing that comes to mind would be my Astro headsets. Just having the surround sound whoring, as Briar would call it in a video game, it's really good. I feel like that should be your very first purchase to improve your game. That is a good one.
Good headphones make a big difference.
A scuff controller would obviously be good for that, but I'm going to do a little looking into the future here and say probably the best thing that's going to improve my game is the Zim Apex.
Still looking for that juicy sponsorship, Zim.
Juicy sponsorship. Well, I mean, I've done a lot less of that than you guys. It's too early for me to say right now, with the PC being that it's literally a day old here in this house.
Yeah.
But for me, the one thing I can say that's changed the way that I see video games, kind of allowed me to experience a childhood fantasy, was PlayStation VR. Being able to put on a VR headset and experience games in a way that was so surreal. And you remember the first time you played Resident Evil 7, Briar, or played some of the other games, even Batman VR. They're so different. And to me, that changed the way that I perceive video games. Now when I play a traditional on-screen experience, my mind immediately goes to, at least has some type of reference as to what it could be like in VR.
Basically,
because I've experienced that.
I'm going to stop you right there. And on that VR headset, I'm going to say to you, the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive.
Gary, no.
Wait. They're $400-$500, aren't they? Right? You're saying no.
I think it's like $300 for an Oculus.
Shut up, Briar.
All right. You're saying no. You're
making it worse.
I'm going to tell you one thing, and we're going to see what your answer is. They've got porn on them.
I'm canceling.
PSVR doesn't.
That's the sell. That's your closing.
You let that resonate in your head when you go to bed at night. You're laying there in your bunk, your eyes closed, and you think, "Fuck, they got porn on them, haven't they?" That's going to go around in your head.
Listen, Gary, porn is on PSVR too. Gary, you sold your PSVR too quick.
I'm trying to find. There was another VR headset. They had it on sale for like $250. I'm trying to think. It wasn't
the PSVR went on sale. I think that's.
It wasn't PSVR. It wasn't the Vive, and it wasn't the Rift. It was another company.
There's a bunch of them that have like the Windows headsets now. I can't remember all the brands, but there's a bunch of them now.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's out of stock. You can't order it. But my point of the whole thing was I'm excited to see people's reviews on that and see how it stacks up to the other ones, because $250.
Yeah, that's cheap, right?
I'd be scared to use something like that unless you heard screams from the mountaintops that they were actually quality products. Right now, we know for a fact that the PSVR is a pretty good VR headset, and it pales in comparison to the Rift or the Vive. And so anything else like Johnny's VR headset for $250, that would just, to me, in my mind, at least
Johnny's
be a waste
good people. Why you got to do Johnny like that?
Yeah,
fuck
that's
Johnny.
fucked up, Beasley.
Fuck Johnny.
Johnny's got nothing but love for you. You treat him like shit week in, week
Johnny's
out.
out there working 60-hour week. Johnny's on the road for 45 hours of his 60-hour week. He's got 3 kids at home. He's trying to make ends meet. He's just brought out his VR headset after years of research and hard work. You got to do him like that. Get the fuck out.
Hey man, I'll just tell him he needs to stick to his pizza restaurant and just leave it there. Shit.
Ryan, what's the best piece of gaming hardware you've ever gotten?
Oh, you'll love this. You remember back in the day what mouses used to be?
Yeah.
They had that little ball at the bottom.
Trackball.
The very first time I had one that had a laser.
Yeah.
And you could actually pinpoint that motherfucker instead of having to go roll it across the desk, clean it, roll it back across the desk.
Yeah.
So that was honestly the best thing.
The trackball and the mouse.
I used to like cleaning my balls, man. The cleaning the ball was like one of the most therapeutic things. Do you remember you used to take it out and you'd have that thick line of grease and you slowly like twist it and pick that little grease ridge off?
Yeah.
On the trackball.
I think that was grease. I think that was some sort of.
What was it,
fluid
Wilson?
that you were using.
What was it?
Yeah. KY jelly.
Built up bodily fluids. That was one of the
Astroglide.
most. That's like picking off a scab for me. That was like one of the most satisfying feelings, and I've lost that now.
Gross.
Picking off a halfly peeled sticker.
Yeah. But there's always
That's
that risk though
nasty.
when you're picking a scab. There's that risk of, is it done enough? You know what you want is a scab that's still got enough retention that you got to pick it, but you don't want it where it exposes a bit of puffy wound underneath it. You know, you want that clean.
Yeah, you want it just to be clean, just enough where you feel it just a little bit, but not enough to break the skin.
And
Then
I
you're
lost that with the
satisfied.
I lost that
Damn
when
it.
the tractors died. I know.
Holy fuck!
Dude,
How about you,
Sorry
Gary?
to
What's
chat
the
over
best
camera,
piece of hardware?
right. My best piece of hardware, I think it's more of an enabler than anything else. But my best piece of hardware was the router or modem, should we say? So actually having a 56k modem or a 512k when we got broadband for the first time, so that I didn't have to tie up a phone line all night when I wanted to play games. The idea that you could go online, and I remember when I first dipped into PC game. I mean, I'd played PC gaming as my first-person shooters, like the original Call of Duty, and before that, the early Medal of Honors like Allied Assault and Quake 3 Arena. Before that, Unreal Tournament. But a lot of them have been local bot matches. But for me, I remember going into school and telling the guys in high school, I'm playing this game. I think it was called Legend of Mir at the time, which was like almost like Ultimate Online, kind of like a 2D, it's like Diablo 2, effectively, but like an MMO. And I could not believe I was saying to them, every other person in this game is a player. And they were like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're playing a game and the other people in it are real people. We're like, yeah, it's like that was the sell. And then my 56k modem was what I was using then. And the 512k, the broadband, that took me right the way through my early Anarchy Online days, Dark Age of Camelot, Asheron's Call 2, into World of Warcraft, Star Wars Galaxies. Like, that was what I was using through all the golden age of online MMO gaming that I played, that really shaped what I became. And I don't think any of that would have been possible if you took that modem away and stuck me back in the enclosed room that I was in. So for me, the single biggest purchase that I ever made, or purchase that was made for me, because obviously I was in school at the time, was probably a 56k and then a 512k modem.
That's a really good answer, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Gary
close.
wins.
That was a good one. Like I can remember we didn't get high speed internet at where my parents lived until probably about my sophomore year of high school, my second year being a sophomore in high school, maybe. I can't remember. But it's like you said, Gary, you log into a game and you're playing, you're like, holy shit, man, these are other people.
Yep.
This is a real person at the end of, this connection. And it was life-changing. I mean, we all met via the internet, you know what I mean? Like, and there's countless amounts of other people. I mean, I can name off so many people. I'd just be afraid that I'd forget a few, but I mean, I've made some pretty everlasting, strong friendships just from internet gaming in itself. And I'd say that has not made me a better gamer, but has improved my gaming experience at an undefinable level. Like,
It's just the type of games that you played. Like, I like Mario, sorry for the Yankees amongst us, as much as the next man. Like, I like a console game, like a classic console game, like an SNES game or a Genesis game. But there's just something different about playing a truly online world that the PC was offering through early days of broadband. And that's why it was just such a magical time for me. It was a time when communities were fostered, because it was such an infant technology that communities would get together and create fan sites for the first time. And it was like, if you wanted to take down a boss, there wasn't wikis and guides to do it. You just all get together and muddle through it and figure it out as a group. It's just things that just I have not seen since, or you probably will never see again. Because nowadays, if a game comes out, like Destiny comes out, and yeah, there was that exploration and stuff, but there's still very much like YouTube videos are going up every week of how to do it and how to do. YouTube wasn't there. None of that was there. The fan sites were literally being built on the back of these games, and all through the early broadband modems. Just a great time.
Kind of reminds me of an old, that I had mentioned it right at the beginning when we first started doing this podcast. There was an arcade game in my local arcade, and this was before the internet. Well, before it was common to have the internet, and It was very cryptic stuff on how to beat the levels, like go around the level clockwise 4 times, then 2, then do another series of.
I want to know the name of this game because I remember you
I
talking
can't.
about
I've
this.
looked into it. I can't remember it, dude. I can't find it. It's like Polybius. It never existed. Like,
Damn
but it
Mandela effect.
people would write on the notebook on how to beat the level, and then they'd leave it, and then somebody else would come along and they'd get to the level that nobody else could get past. They'd figure it out and they'd write it down, and you just don't see that kind of stuff anymore. It was really cool.
That is that is really something else. Damn.
These days have come and gone now that we are more connected than we ever have been in the history of humankind.
It's like now it's the human centipede of gaming is existing now.
My favorite piece of hardware very much piggybacks off of Gary's.
Sorry.
I do remember Gary, or the first like online game and playing Diablo 2 with friends or with randos. Yeah. I remember playing Quake 3 Arena, with people online. I remember even with the original Xbox playing, some games online. I think Mech Warrior or something like that. Mech Assault, Mech Warrior or something like that was like the first Xbox Live game that came for the original Xbox. But the Xbox 360 was the first time where I had online friends. I had a friends list. I had games that I bought solely to play online. I bought Call of Duties to play online. The Xbox 360, hardware-wise, obviously had its issues, but its infrastructure completely changed the way I game forever. Yep. To me, it's a lot less satisfying going into a game by myself than it is going in with my friends now. It's just so much more fun. And the Xbox Live service, when it came to Xbox 360, it revolutionized the way I play games. It was so good. And the friends list, like just having a friends list, that was getting kept track of and persistent was kind of like a big enough upgrade for me.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when that whole Xbox 360 thing came along and people were talking about, the parties and friends list. And I was really late to that party, believe it or not. And I didn't understand it because up until that point, I was a console gamer and I'd hear people tell me about it. I'd be like, yeah, what do you mean? It didn't register, kind of like my PC now. It didn't register until I was actually able to see it and put on a headset and have a conversation with somebody. That really was.
Oh, yeah. The 360 also shipped with a microphone. It shipped with a headset. So and most games at that point were opt out of voice chat. So if you jumped in a Call of Duty lobby, it was people talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of people talking for the first time in a video game.
That was the first time I ever heard that. It was in Call of Duty.
Yeah, the only experience I had with a microphone before that was SOCOM Navy SEALs on PlayStation 2, where it was, Alpha Team flank right, and then all of a sudden your guy would throw a grenade, and you're like, what the fuck, dude? I didn't tell you to throw a grenade, you piece of shit. I remember that shit.
See, I didn't even know that you could talk on consoles. That's how out the loop I was. Like, I had no idea that was there. See, we didn't have that inbuilt infrastructure in PC. Like, even pre-World of Warcraft or even early World of Warcraft, there wasn't chat in the game, so you had to have things like TeamSpeak.
Yeah. Ventrilo
before it, and TeamSpeak 2 and Ventrilo. Ventrilo came later, and Mumble and things like that. But I remember it being like you had to buy a TeamSpeak server, and you had everyone in there. Most of it was just done through text talk, and my friends list was exclusive game to game. I didn't have Steam didn't exist. Nothing was there. I went on to World of Warcraft. I had my World of Warcraft friends list, and then other games, and I had that. It's just a magical time. Ryan, did you? I know you said you were a PC player at times, and were you geeky enough to be part of the MMO RPG space, or am I alone in this?
Not the same MMO. I used to play City of Heroes, if you guys remember that game.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I do. They City of Villains as well, didn't they? The follow-up.
Yes. We played that instead of World of Warcraft. So, my family's always been big on superheroes, so that's where we got that game.
Did you play DC Universe Online then, or was you not DC?
Tried it. That was just a rough game. When it first launched, it was rough. So,
I always wanted to play City of Heroes, but I was at capacity in terms of bandwidth in what I was playing, but it looked fucking sweet. Like you made your own hero and you set their superpowers, didn't you? If I remember rightly, like you chose if you wanted to be like super fast.
You did a tank, or if you wanted to be a healer or whatever. It was the same basic idea as World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I played Star Wars: The Old Republic for a while. I think it was a Sentinel
So
Jedi.
you played the baby trailer wheels version of the Star Wars MMO.
You know
That's
what,
Star Wars.
Gary? It's just never enough for you, man. You know, like I
Star
get a
Wars
Never
PC,
enough
it's
Galaxies.
for
not a
you.
good enough
No.
monitor. And I get the monitor, and it's not good enough
Wilson,
peripherals. And then I
Yeah.
play an MMO, and now it's the fucking Barney of MMOs.
if you told me you played a Star Wars MMO, I'd say to you, you mean Star Wars Galaxies? And then I would say the follow-up question, you mean you played pre-NGE? And again, only people that played it would know the reference there. If you played post-NGE, you're dead to me. I don't care. Pre-NGE, Star Wars Galaxies.
So
I'm not going to go in and explain it. I'm leaving that out there for the nerds who listen to us.
the only MMO that I put Gary level hours in, I talked to you guys about it before, but no one seems to know about it because I guess it didn't do well. And
Farmville is not an MMO, BC.
God damn it, Gary. I never played Farmville. I have no I know what it is, but I didn't play that.
Candy
I
Crush
put-
doesn't count either.
Wilson, you just went off on Gary. Let's stay on the same side for a second.
The only way I can get him on my side is to be on his side. All right.
You're right. You're right. The only MMO I ever played and put thousands of hours into is a game called Silk Road Online, and the game I loved it. I played it on my brother's PC, my half brother. I stayed with them in my early 20s, him and his mother, and he had a PC, and I didn't have anything to do with my time. I was working at Publix, and I went on his PC, and it had to be the shittiest PC of all time. And I downloaded this game, and I was only able to play it on low settings, but I fell in love with that game. I'd sit and listen to Utada Hikaru and play that game for 6 hours a night. Every night, I'd get home and play it more and more and more. And then when I met Kate, I made her start playing it, and we played for 2 years together, Silk Road, to the point where, okay, it's time to buy some bots and just watch them run around and level us up. But I probably put at least 3,000 or 4,000 hours into that game. But the very first MMO I ever played, I didn't get too deep into it, was EverQuest on PlayStation 2. I bought that game on PS2, and you had to buy the external Ethernet port that goes on the back of the PS2, and you had to buy the hard drive that slid into the fat PS2. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I bought that. I bought the little peripherals that went with it, and I bought the mouse and keyboard for the PlayStation 2, and I couldn't believe it. I was actually playing with people, but you couldn't speak.
Wait a minute.
God
Mouse
damn it,
and
Briar.
keyboard.
Wait a minute here.
Yeah.
Didn't you just admonish us for playing with mouse and keyboard
You can only play that
on a
game with mouse and
console?
You can only play with mouse and keyboard.
I feel betrayed,
God
Beasley.
damn it, Brian.
I smell a hint of hypocrisy in the air.
Hold on.
I know. The
Let me
OG keyboard
correct
and mouse
myself.
gamer there.
Let me correct myself. It wasn't a mouse. It was a PlayStation 2 keyboard, and that was the only. You could type by moving the controller around and going key by key. But I wanted to be a baller in the early 2000s.
Would you say you had an advantage typing on a keyboard versus controller?
I would say I did,
Mhm.
Wilson. I don't know if it was sim level, but yes. They were probably wondering, how the fuck is he typing these words so quick?
Was that the time when you had the PSN name Bad Motherfucker?
Yes, it was, Gary. There wasn't PSN, Gary. This is
I don't
PlayStation.
fucking know if there was a PSN on PlayStation 2.
I
am
still
know?
believe that one of the reasons the Xbox 360 was more successful than the PS3 was because it shipped with a headset.
Headset.
I really do. Like, I feel like there were a bunch of reasons, right? It was like the high cost of the PS3 at launch. It was like $600 at launch.
$600.
But when you went over your friend's house and you saw him like talking to his buddies on a headset, and you're like, "Oh, my PS3 doesn't do that," or maybe it does. I just don't know how to do it. You know?
Yeah. Even the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One, Briar, the Xbox One's headset that came with it was far superior to that little piece of blue shit that came with the PlayStation 4.
Yeah,
Man,
You
that's
sure
it's
you remember the
fucking-
single earbud? Yeah, the one that came with the Xbox One, it's still in mint condition. It works really well. It
Man,
plugs into the bottom of the
I can
controller.
tell you the single reason why I wouldn't have bought a PS3, and again, I didn't, but if I was going to look at the two, much simpler than headsets, much simpler than hardware, graphics, games, fucking gloss black. Like, nothing should ever be made in that fucking piano gloss. Like, I'd look at it in the store and think, nah, not buying
Gary,
it. Like,
I know you were 11 when the PlayStation 2 came out, but I remember being in line when the PS2 came out and buying the blue
PS3.
stand. You talking about PS2 or 3?
the gloss fucking black
Oh
thing,
yeah, that is
the
pretty bad.
monstrosity.
You
that was
won. You won. Yeah.
every single scratch on it. You literally wipe it once.
You're
Your
right.
thing's like
Yeah.
fucking
It's
scarred
horrible.
for life. Like,
You get fingerprints on just from looking at it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a really ugly design, but it could have been worse. Did you guys see the PlayStation 3 controller that was initially going to come with it?
The
silver
Batarang.
boomerang,
Boomerang.
the Batarang.
not a clue.
And that is the best piece of gaming hardware that Revolver's ever had.
I think we kept concise on that one. We were on it.
Yeah.
We got some real news. We're like breaking news correspondents to report this week. There's
Interesting.
actually some real current gaming news. Can you believe it? Strap yourselves in. You're going to hear it hot off the press. This is only 4 days old. So there's been 3 bits of decent gaming news. We're going to start off with something that's quick, that we don't really care about much, but Beastly might, because he is still a pony at heart, despite having a powerful piece of hardware on his lap. And we're not talking about his laptop. And it is the delay to Detroit Beyond. Is it Detroit? What is it? Beyond Human? Becoming Human? Human
Detroit.
Souls?
I just
Becoming
lost Detroit.
Detroit
Became human.
something. Anyway,
Detroit what?
yeah, 8 Mile. It is.
Mile.
It's not coming out this year. So Sony was banking on. It had been highly rumored because it was released last E3, wasn't it? The reveal trailers, and PSX had another trailer for it. Detroit was meant to be coming out this year. It's not. Slid into 2019. Sony's first party lineup's looking lean this year now. BC, I guess you've got 10 seconds. Do you care? Is it going to
Yeah.
affect Sony?
No, it won't. And I don't care about Detroit.
I thought you were
Quantic-
big on
Heard
that
it
game.
first.
Quantic Dream is an okay studio, but
I hear
I
they
think
sent pictures of them fucking other employees to like each other in email chains. That's what I heard.
I was trying to get a job. I mean,
I'm more interested in Detroit now.
Suddenly, I want to buy a house.
Yeah, I think
I
they've
think-
been spending their time photoshopping their heads on like porn and sending it around the offices. Like, it's a pretty toxic workplace.
Gary,
Really?
the reason that this news will probably matter later on in the year more than it does now is because people are really amped for God of War. I think God of War is really at the tip of the tongue of PlayStation gamers. People really want to see that game and play it, and that's right around the corner. So if you were to compare that to Detroit Become Human, I don't think many people, well, some would probably like Detroit more because they're more into that narrative-driven experience. But for the adventure game fans and the God of War fans like Briar Rabbit, because I know he hated the original God of Wars, I think God of War is the game that most of us are looking forward to right now.
I didn't
Alright,
hate the
so-
original God of War. I liked them. I just got bored with them over time.
Yeah. You got bored. That's pretty
Detroit
much-
is delayed and we don't care. That's the hot take. Fantastic. There's
Straight off
also
the presses.
been a full fat Nintendo Direct, not a mini Direct, but a real Nintendo Direct this week. And
Okay.
we're all Switch devotees. They came on with some 3DS news, which I thought was fucking weird because that console is like, no matter what, Nintendo are just pumping
Yeah.
blood into that corpse and making it walk around the party like we still give a shit. The games that were announced, again, stop me if there's anything on here that anyone cares about. The last one, maybe. WarioWare Gold, Dylan's Dead Heartbreakers, Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, which is a remake, Detective Pikachu, which looks fucking odd. It's a weird Pikachu walking around talking like Danny DeVito. Kind of just it looks odd. I don't know what they're doing with that one. And then there's a Luigi's Mansion 3DS
Mansion,
port.
yeah.
So the original Luigi's Mansion's being remade on 3DS.
That's cool. I like that.
All
That
right.
was interesting.
WarioWare, is that a new game or is that a remake?
It's a
I
new
think it's
one.
like best of with some new parts in it. So it's just like,
I used to like the
Little mini
WarioWare
games.
games. They were fun to play.
WarioWares are fun. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's something you could probably give to an elderly relative as a present, but I can't see it really shifting units. You know, I mean, do we really care? I mean, I feel like Nintendo wanted to get this out of the way. Like, if you watch the Direct, the pace of it was, we've got things to announce on the 3DS, and it went, and they were like, and now let's fucking get rid of the 3, and then they kind of went onto the main course. This was like the first 5 minutes. Anyway, Nintendo Switch, a lot of this was news of ports. There were some announcements, which we're probably going to spend the most time talking on, but I'm going to run through these, and if you guys want to talk about any of them, just talk over me. Kirby
Gary,
Star Allies, which was
before-
a 2D
before you-
Kirby game.
before you run through the games, we have to get Ryan's take on the Switch. He has some really, I guess it'll be. He talked to me about the Switch earlier today, and I think it'll be very enlightening for us to hear his thoughts on it. So I'm sorry to interrupt, Gary. Please continue.
No, go for it.
Am I giving you the way that I told you on the phone, or
Yes.
a nicer version of that?
No, the exact way you told me would be great.
I think it's a fucking abortion.
Jesus Christ.
Why do you feel that way?
Understand this is just my perspective. I don't want another handheld. If I want a handheld, I got a 3DS, I got a Vita, I got all these other things. I didn't want a handheld from Nintendo. I wanted another console. Yeah, I got one sitting over here too. So I wanted an actual console. I didn't care about this tiny little screen, And for me, and I told Briar this before, I'm blinded when I am playing on those little screens is really a pain to see those, real hard. My vision's different. So for me, it's just not a console that works. And it's not a console; it's a damn handheld that they charge $300 for.
And for people listening who can't see the actual podcast, that is not Rich from Review Tech. It's just someone who sounds just like him. Gary,
you're allowed to have your opinion about it. Like, I would agree, man. It would have been great to just see like a standalone console, maybe with a little bit more power, more focus on power and less on mobility. But I hear you on that, man.
What if they made like a really powerful console? Imagine this, right? And imagine if it was upgradable. Like you could buy parts retail. Maybe like third-party manufacturers would make parts for it, and you could install them yourself. And then imagine you could buy any game you want like online. Imagine that, right? Like maybe like different stores were open online, and you could download games from anywhere instead of just being locked into one system. And if your console got a little out of date, you could, maybe throw a new graphics card in there. And, if you wanted to play with a controller, you could do that. Maybe you want to play mouse and keyboard, you could plug that stuff in. How about that?
That sounds enticing. Where can I get one of those?
Does it have online service out of the box?
No, God, no. We're not talking about a PC here. We're talking about a console.
may or may not come with Wi-Fi.
Does it come with an Italian plumber with a 70s porn moustache?
Oh, shit.
I can only hope. All right, Gary, what's coming out for the Switch?
Well, my little darling, Nintendo Switch, which I cherish dearly, is there was some, as I said, mostly news or reconfirmation and release dates of some games. We're not going to be specific on release date news. If you want that, then head to a reputable news source. This is just more hot takes on what we thought. Kirby Star Allies, 2D Kirby game, more details on it, more characters. Do we care? Anyone?
No.
No.
Moving on. Okami HD. I thought this was fucking good news because every other console, including PC, got the Okami HD remaster earlier this year, but playing it portable.
It came out for the Wii U, right?
I never played it before.
It was the Wii, the original Wii.
Oh, okay. Didn't
So
the HD version didn't come out for Wii U?
HD version was PS4, Xbox, and PC, but
Oh, okay.
Have you guys played the
It's
original?
cool, but I could play it elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool that it's on the Switch.
could you play it on the toilet?
Yeah, you can't play anything else on the shitter, Willie.
I can play with a lot of things on the shitter.
Nasty.
That's a great answer. You nasty. I never played Okami before. Have you guys played it before? And is it worth picking it up?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
If you've never played it before, I would be excited to get it on the Switch.
But now I'm tempted to buy it on PC because I only have one Switch. And like if I'm buying a game for me and Kate on PS4, that's different. But if it's a Switch game and it's on PC, I'll probably get it on PC.
It's Legend of Zelda if you're into furries. Because Link is a wolf and you're staring at that wolf's butt for like 70 hours or so. So
That's not Okami.
Describe me perfectly.
That is Okami. Continuing on, we're going to do this quick fire. Octopath Traveler's finally got a name, and the name is Octopath Traveler. Surprisingly.
It looks really
True
cool.
Story.
I like that the characters all had different like main abilities that could make the outcome of your experience through the game different. I liked the art design. I liked the turn-based RPGs. It had like a higher fidelity Super Nintendo graphics.
Yeah.
This one
It
looks dope.
It looks interesting. It looks Japanese. So anyone that enjoys it will probably like that. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. It's a follow-up to No More Heroes. Cool, artistic. Again, looks like a graphic novel come to life. If you like No More Heroes, more of the same. Dark Souls Remastered and Amiibo. Ooh. The Amiibo looks fucking dope. I'm an Amiibo fan, as you know. First time we've seen Dark Souls merch look this good. Little Amiibo doing Praise the Sun. And Dark Souls 1 portable. again, good news. It's got a release date. It's coming out in May, I believe. Could be wrong.
Would that be something you'd play on the Switch, Gary?
No.
No? Okay.
No, it's 30 frames. Every other platform's going to be 60. I normally don't mind, but for Dark Souls, I feel like the frame rate matters because you're trying to dodge and move, and that's why I don't like Bloodborne. So I wouldn't turn
so good,
Dark Souls
Gary.
into Bloodborne.
Will you
so
get the
good.
amiibo?
Yeah, I bought the amiibo already. I've pre-ordered it. It's dope.
Yes.
It's selling out everywhere. Mario Tennis Aces. You guys see that? That looks
Yes.
really fun.
Yeah, I
looks
love
fun.
Mario Tennis games.
I'm looking forward to cracking some beers and playing with some friends and just being stupid in that game.
Yeah,
Looks
Mario
So that
Tennis
looks
and Mario
super-
Golf is a must-buy for me almost every time it releases.
Yeah, those are great games.
The hot take on it is it looks really good for people that want to get hardcore. Like BC, if you want to take it like a fighter, there's all different types of shots you can make, like super ability shots, and the bats, like the tennis bats, is it rackets, have like hit points, so you can break the other person's racket to win rather than just winning. Or you can play it in pure classic mode and just play it as a tennis game. So there's kind of those two sides of the spectrums. You can play it with buddies and just crack some beers and have fun, or you can play it like a serious fighter, which is cool. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, coming off the Wii U, will be playable on the Switch. No news there, except it's a fun game. Undertale, indie darling, coming to Switch. Great place to play it. Crash Bandicoot, I thought this was interesting
That's crazy, yeah.
because that's a PlayStation game, and it's apparently now
PlayStation.
coming to Switch, Xbox, and PC. So if you want to play Crash and you don't own a PlayStation, you'll finally be able to. Basically, your darling little nightmares coming to Switch. Happy? Bad?
I mean, if I didn't have the game, yeah, I consider getting it on this. Who knows? I might still get it. It's a very special kind of indie experience for me. I like going into that world. It reminds me of Spirited Away, the Studio Ghibli film. So who
Right.
knows?
I triggered Professor Pancham by calling them tennis bats. So from henceforth on Revolver, whenever we refer to tennis, it's going to be tennis bats. Tennis bats.
Is that what you guys
Um,
call them over there?
I
Boy, get your
know
tennis bat, mate. Like what?
Yeah.
It's a racket.
they're rackets, but I'm a Philistine and uneducated. South Park Fractured Butthole. What I thought was
Yes.
interesting here was that we're getting a M-rated South Park game on a Nintendo console. That's fucking cool.
Yes, that's what I
it's-
was the most excited about for it, was that they're kind of stepping into, like you said, more mature games. I haven't played it yet,
Me neither.
so I think I'm gonna get it on the Switch because I think that would be cool to tote around. Any turn-based RPG that I can tote around the house, I'm all about. That sounds cool.
Horror Warriors got a release date. No news there, except it's confirmed. Splatoon 2 is getting a big update with a full single-player mode with
Single-player
Agent
mode?
8. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Agent 8, 80 levels. All of them are going to be like a different puzzle. It's very much like the Zelda shrines in Breath of the Wild. So 80 different mini puzzles. You play as a Octoling, like the opponent to the Squidlings or whatever, the adversary. And you're like a sexy Octoling that just wakes up in a subway, and you've got to navigate out of the 80 subway paths. Looks really cool. So I thought it was fun. And then the big tease at the end, and this is the only thing that I thought we might have some opinions on, is Super Smash Brothers is confirmed for 2018 for the Nintendo Switch. Do we care?
Yes, I'm
Briar-
stoked. I
Briar
hope we all
doesn't.
get it so we can throw down.
We've had this conversation for years. Briar doesn't give a holy fuck about this game. I love Smash, and I'm going to whip everybody here's ass in that game.
Not me.
That's a guarantee. Yeah, because you won't play. You-
Right.
Briar.
I'm not spending
Brian,
$60
which
on
side of
Revolver
the-
plays.
Ryan, which side of the fence do you fall on? Are you a Smash hater, lover, or ambivalent?
I
I
sold
just
my Switch.
So we take it that you love
Great
it and you're
answer.
looking forward to it.
Yes, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, that was
Gary,
the.
what about you,
oh,
Gary? How do you feel about Smash Brothers? Is that something you consider
Uh,
for purposes?
I am awful at fighting games and anything that
Doesn't
requires
matter, Gary.
fast
You know what?
reaction time.
I buy everything you assholes tell me to buy, but you guys won't buy one fucking fighting game. I know you guys for how many years now? How many fighting games have you guys bought? Zero. How about we
I'll
get
buy
some
it.
damn?
I'll
Look at
buy
Briar.
it.
Yeah,
my-
Briar. Don't look out the corner of your eye. Dude, shit.
My fiance absolutely loves Smash. Has played them since the N64. Loves that sort of game, and I play
well,
with
let's
her.
have her beat Beastly's ass then.
God damn it.
She probably would.
That's
I
not
mean,
gonna
she-
happen, but damn.
she
I mean, if
beats
you want to
me,
play a
but-
kitty game, you
yeah.
can play against a girl. How about
This
that?
ain't no damn kitty game.
I'm excited to play it, Beastly. I'll play with you, and
Thank
maybe we
you,
can talk
Wilson.
these guys into getting it, and
Because
we
look,
can
I
whoop
bought
their
the Hunt
asses.
Showdown last night so I could play with Briar and Wilson and Gary, but they tag teamed one another all day, so I wasn't able to get into
Well,
the game.
I'm going to be honest with you. Wilson hasn't played with us for about 4 years now. He's just
It's been 1 week.
he's like my dad. He left one day to get milk, and I've been waiting at the door ever since. It's been.
Is that what
I mean, I'm
happened?
32. He left when I was 11.
But
So
being a bitch, I told you
I'm
I'd be right
waiting.
back. All right.
that's it. Could hear Cat Stevens playing in the background. That's it. Father and son.
So it sounds like a plan, right? We're going to do some Smash Brothers this year, guys. Me and
I'm
Wilson.
down.
Wilson, we'll get together. We got to watch the old tapes and read all the old messages from Gary to formulate a Gary-esque plan to make Gary and Briar buy this fucking game. If we say it the way Gary would, maybe if I talk like this, Briar will say, "Oh, I need that game." So we got to figure this thing out.
The key is, how they say, cut the head off the snake, and it's got to. So you just got to convince Gary. And then
I'm
let
buying
him
it.
do
You've
the British accent.
convinced me. I mean, if it's on the Switch, I'll buy it just because I like the cases that the game's come in. So,
Okay, Gary.
Convince
Yeah.
Gary. And we
I like the
convince Gary. That'd
small
be a great
cases.
topic.
I used to like the PSP cases, and I still like the Vita cases. I like miniature cases; they just look nice. That's why I like the Xbox game cases. I think they're nicer than the PlayStations.
I'll let Gary win a few matches to build his feeling of accomplishment up, and then he'll tell Briar, "You might be able to be in too." And then when Briar buys it, I want to just whip both of their asses.
I had
Your
one
plan might have
tactic.
worked if you didn't just tell us about it.
Well, it worked
You're
in my
like
mind.
cheesy 60s Bond villain. Tells them everything.
Yeah.
I had one tactic for Smash Brothers, and this is the only one that I used in any version of Smash. And I'd play as Kirby because Kirby could sort of puff himself back onto the platforms when you fell, so you didn't need to learn all the jump combos. And if you press down and B, he'd turn himself into a rock
Block.
and just
Yeah.
drop down quickly. So I had one move and one trick only. I'd puff up above someone and drop as a rock, and if that missed, that was it. That was the only thing I got. That was all I had. So
One
That's
trick
a-
pony.
pretty much the end.
That is like the worst strategy ever.
It's all
That was
come
all I
down to
had.
this, and he misses. Well, fuck it.
That was all I had. All I had. I'm going to hope that works in the next version. If not, then we might be in for some trouble. The last bit of news is not the Nintendo Direct, but this I thought was kind of cool and a nice transition when we move into our next topic, because Division 2 was officially announced. Not with much detail on it, but the press release took some not so subtle swipes at another D2 that's currently out. And I'm going to read the press release, and then we see if you think that this is maybe running on the coattails of some dissatisfied fans of Destiny. So this was by Ubisoft and Massive. They said, "We are very pleased to announce that we are working on Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Development is led by Massive Entertainment and driven by close collaboration with Ubisoft, etc., etc., etc. The Division 2 will be based on an updated version of the existing Snowdrop engine that will help us realise our ambitions for the title, but more importantly, we can also invest all the experience we've accumulated over the past 2 years into this sequel to make sure everything is going well." And they were clear to follow up on that by saying that we will encapsulate and build on the experience as it stands. We will not be resetting or changing the game, but we had to start fresh so that we could explore a new story and a new setting with our game.
Ooh, that's wrong.
Sounds familiar. It's almost
Hey,
like I
man.
heard that before with
It's called
another
marketing.
sequel. Huh.
No, you didn't hear that before because Bungie didn't say that we weren't going to step back and retract some of the things that they've learned and they've included in D1 and Destiny 2. They're saying it because that's exactly what Bungie did. They took away aspects of Destiny 1 and kind of pulled back some of the advancements that they had put into the game over the course of those years. And they're saying that everything they've learned, they're not going to pull anything back. They're just going to include everything they've learned so far and push forward. And I think that's a great message, man.
The only like significance I see to Destiny 2 here is just the same promise that any game company makes before they make a sequel. I don't really see this being a direct dig at D2. Now, if they had come out and said, "We know some of you have been satisfied with other sequels lately not improving on their game," I'd probably say sure that was
That's
more
hardcore,
directed at D2. But I think it's just, I don't know, like, wow, didn't we already know they were working on the Division 2 after the Division 1 dropped? Like, I
It
get
wasn't
that's cool
confirmed
news that they
until-
announced it, but like, I mean, we always kind of knew that they were going to make another one, right? Like,
Yeah, the game did well. The game did very well.
the game sold well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then kind of died off, and then now I hear it's doing great again. I just can't push through it again to grind through that game one more time to get to the new end game. You know what I mean? Like, that's
I was
just me.
gonna
I'm
play
excited
some
for it.
today actually, and just to do exactly that, Wilson. But I got distracted by a bunch of new games. I started playing Vermintide, then Gary got on, and we
Yep.
started playing Hunt Showdown. It's like, well, it's hard to go back to a 2-year-old game that you haven't played in 2 years.
You have to do it with a group of friends. It's like the only way I can get back into it. If I feel like, but if we want to speculate about it, and I kind of said this in Briar's chat, and I hate. I'm not being a hater. I'm not hating. I'm just stating.
So toxic.
I suspect I'll put about 40 hours into the beta and about 20 into the actual game.
How much did Bungie pay you to say that?
Well,
Chill.
depends on
Chill.
how much they
Chill.
get. They might get Lunchables at a cheaper rate. They're paying me in lunch.
They're paying me a bunch of
Ryan, did
Really,
you play
I'm
any,
winning. I mean,
It's a win. It's a win.
Ryan, did you play any of the Division 1? What's your take on this? Did you enjoy the game? Do you know anything about Division?
The original Destiny killer.
Yeah, that's what it
I
was
mean,
billed as.
And I think that was the downfall of Division was being compared to Destiny because there wasn't anything close to it. But yes, we played it for a week, and I think it went to GameStop after that because there was just nothing there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it was the same in our house. We played it. Kate and I played it. I played with Briar, played with some of the guys from the old podcast, and after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, we had gotten to the end of the game, and it just slowly drifted away like Destiny 2 did for me.
with that being said, though, like, I'm not completely uneducated as to some of the changes that they've made. You know, there is specific loot grinding. There are gear sets that you can go towards and more customization to play the game the way you want to play the game. It's really, really cool, really awesome. And I hope they continue to do that and improve on it into the sequel so that when I do, because I will get it. I'm going to get the game. I'm sure we all probably will, at least to try it out. But I'm hoping that level of engagement is there to begin with.
Look at what Destiny's done to us.
Yeah.
This when in the
Yes.
history of fucking sequels has everybody been like, oh, they're probably gonna fuck it up? No, that's not how sequels go. Like usually,
You're so right.
a game comes out that you kind of enjoyed. You maybe you didn't love it, but you saw like those like threads that if they work on those threads and they see
It'll be
where
incredible.
it's gonna be incredible. Gears of War 2, Halo 2, like
Uncharted
how many
2.
Uncharted 2. How many amazing sequels have there been over the years? We're just beat down by Destiny. Like what the fuck? One bad sequel comes out, and we're like,
it fucks everything up.
fuck sequels. They always fuck it up.
one bad ex-girlfriend, and now you're just afraid to dip your toes in the market with any other video game.
That's
Destiny
a really
2
deep read.
fucked us up.
Briar. That's a deep read.
You're you know what? I'm so glad you said that because I didn't realize that that's basically exactly what I was just doing there with
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Division.
he
Like you're
messed
so
up.
right.
I feel
dude.
like Division, if anything, have shown us that they're a developer who strongly understands their community.
Yeah.
Launched a game that was an unfinished product or a product that wasn't fit for purpose and have done nothing but improve it. I mean, my take on Division was I parked it at launch. I kind of enjoyed it like you guys did for a couple of weeks. But I revisited it before 1.8 came out. I actually went back and played it when they launched their level 5 world tier or something of that nature. Anyway, the game was still in a much better state than it was. And I probably put about another, I'm going to say 70, 80 hours into it on PC. But I played it completely solo. So I did none of the match-made activities, played it with no one else. And I treated Division in the way that I think it should have been compared to at the start. I think, Ryan, you made a great point of saying that it shouldn't have been compared to Destiny. I think it should have been compared to Diablo because the game is so much closer to Diablo than it is to Destiny. So I just played it like I would Diablo, which is repeat these same missions over and over again, do these same checkpoints, do these same intels, keep doing that. And I was working on building these gear sets. Why? Because if I got the gear set, I'd be able to slay mans in really interesting ways. Like maybe I'm going to build a fire turret gear set, or maybe I'm going to build a spider drone gear set, or maybe I'm going to build a sentry turret gear set. And I just built these different gear sets and went through the missions in really creative, fun ways, just dispatching waves of people in really cool ways. And it was really entertaining to chase, and it was a fun gear grind. And I think that Ubisoft and Massive have lent into that harder and harder because they've seen that that is where their game is unique and where the shooting becomes fun. So hopefully we see more of that in Division 2. I'm optimistic. I'm not scorned by Destiny.
Scorned by Destiny.
I am.
That's a podcast.
The new book.
I'm you know, Destiny called and said, you know what? I'm changing. I'm gonna change on the 27th. I'm gonna make a real good stride towards being a better Destiny 2. And I am so like on the fence right now. Like I'm like, this has to be good. This has to blow up, right? So
Wilson, how do you feel about the no radar thing?
With coming into trials, okay, here's my take on it. I'm not gonna freak out like everybody else has. Like not everyone, but a majority of the competitive players freaking the fuck out before they've had a chance to play it. First of all,
I don't understand why
Briar,
everyone's freaking out because
hold on. First of all, they're entitled.
No one playing it.
They're entitled to their initial opinion, but as long as you realize that it's an initial opinion before you play it, then you are allowed to have a final opinion. And if you still don't like it, that's okay. But my opinion on the matter is taking radar away to make something more competitive isn't really the answer to me. Radar was never the issue. If they would have dialed it back a little bit and not take 2 steps out of your spawn and now you have them on your radar and they're all the way in your spawn, that would have been a better place to start. Or make a new monthly or bi-monthly event for trials that's one weekend where they do spooky trials again for one weekend. I don't think it was a good idea to do the permanent solution, but I don't know. I could jump in and have a completely different opinion about that when it comes time. I'm going to try it out. I'm excited. There's a massive amount of other changes that are coming along with the no radar. I don't know. How did you feel about it, Briar?
I was surprised by it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
My only other reference point for no radar in Destiny is Spooky Trials, which I did enjoy, but part of the reason I enjoyed it is because I knew it was a limited time event, right? Like I knew going into that event that, well, even if I don't like it, it's just something different, and something different is in itself enjoyable sometimes. Just switching it up is fun in itself. But my biggest concern with no radar in Destiny 2 is the lack of auditory kind of clues as to what's going on. So, if you play Call of Duty or you play other shooters that have limited or no radar, you usually have, you can sound whore basically. You can listen for footsteps of enemy players so you know where they're coming from. Like if you're aware, you usually have those things. And in Destiny, you get some of those, like you can hear a door open, or if somebody fires, you can locate where that enemy or where that firefight is. And if a player jumps, you can kind of figure it out, but you can't hear footsteps at all. And I remember in Spooky Trials, like somebody would just run up behind you and shoot you in the back or shoulder charge you in the back. You had no idea they were there, right?
I feel like with this change that we're getting distracted as a community, not just us. I think, again, we're being distracted by the little things rather than looking at the bigger picture. It's like politics, when something's going on, they'll kind of just go like, look over here, don't look at the big picture. Like, look at this fucking shit. We're going to just put this in the news. And I feel like this no radar thing is like, people are like, oh, like this is not going to bring people back to trials. There's no radar. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? I don't think people are going to play trials regardless. I genuinely don't think anyone's going to play the fucking game type. Like, it's not fun. There's no reward. The issue with trials, right, and the reason people came back to it was the Lighthouse was this glorious, unattainable thing that had exclusive loot that if you went once, you cherished that item that you got because it was not available anywhere else. To get even a dollar store variant of it, you had to win 5 matches on the week that it happened, to get like a basic doctrine, not even the
Big Lots version of the doctrine.
Yeah, it was like this, and the guns were fucking good, like good guns that were difficult.
Yeah, but guns were good outside of trials too. And like, I hear what you're saying, but like, I got every weapon within a couple of weeks after going flawless 3 times a week on every character, and I still came back and played. So it wasn't the loot
you were helping
that made me.
People
it was the high octane gameplay when you have all the loot, and I have every variant and every burn of the messenger and the jewel and all those other guns. I didn't come back for my third jewel of Osiris. I came back because I love shooting people in the face and making them lose.
I'd
Sounds
say that
vindictive, sounds shitty.
It's
but
true though, Wilson.
right.
It's for the
I'd
high
say-
octane plays, man. That's why
Well,
people want to play.
I'm going to speak objectively. I'd say that you're in the minority, and this is going to be my argument on it, right? The Twitch streams for trial service streams were full in year one because people wanted to get flawless. Like your part of the population, people that just wanted to play and enjoyed the PvP aspect, definitely were there. And I'd say they're still there in Destiny 2. But what you've lost are those people that desperately want to get flawless but never made it. In Destiny 1, you wanted to chase that carrot week upon week. There'd be people that would have played for 2 years in Destiny, and you'd always hear them say, I've never been flawless. What do I want most? I really want to get flawless. I want to win this raffle. I want to get flawless because I can get the emblem, I can get the weapon, it's prestige attached to it. In Destiny 2, you can just be in a clan and have the loot handed to you every week in an Engram's, providing someone's going there, or one flawless ticket. You've probably got most of the weapons, if not a full set of the armor, all done, all sorted. There's no reason to ever go back. If you look at what happened this week, I mean, I'm just going to give you the stats this week, and then you can answer back on the take. 40,000 people played across all platforms, and those 40,000 people managed to muster up between them a total of 67,000 matches. So most people played 1 or 2 matches before thinking, fuck this. It's so boring. Why am I bothering?
I hear what you're saying, and you're right about the clan engrams, but I can tell you right now, there was a 1,000-to-1 ratio in favor of people who just wanted to play with their favorite streamers more than actual virgins looking for run. I know tons of people that did Virgin Day, and you'd see the same 10 people entering the raffles all day. There isn't this like overflowing plethora of Lighthouse virgins, and I'm not saying that they're not out there, because they are out there. But I think that more people wanted the chance to make high octane gameplays with their favorite streamers and hear their favorite streamers say, good play. I think that's really what a lot of it boiled down to. I hear it. I want adept weapons. I want more unique rewards. I want things maybe not being accessible to all players. Yeah. I'm not a great PvE player. Make something really challenging in PvE that I'll probably never get. You know what I mean? I'm totally for that. But ultimately, the reason why people are not watching it is because they want to see someone get good loot. They're watching it because they want to see awesome plays. They want to see triple downs and breakers, no breaker, no clip. They want to see all this great stuff. And they want to see Crafty carry 3 other people, or, help 3 other people. People play for the loot, but people also watch for the plays, in my opinion. And if you get people watching your game, you get people talking about your game, which gets people playing the game. And that's kind of my point with the March update. I know there's a lot of people that are saying it's too little too late, and I'm totally okay with that. But I'm going to agree with the guys from IGN. The moment you see your friends playing it and having fun and having a good time, you're going to feel left out, and you're going to want to have fun and have a good time too. And you're going to be right back in orbit bitching about something completely different, a new set of problems that we're going to have, because it's going to happen.
Beasley's going to see us all playing with our Zims on the PlayStation 4. And here he is all alone playing Left 4 Dead on his PC. His old broke-ass PC.
Last gen's master race.
Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult one. I think part of
Well
what you
said,
say,
Briar.
part of what you say, Wilson's right, is that people want to see good gameplay. But I think that the gameplay, that there needs to be something to chase. There needs to be a reason to get people into the playlist. Sure. And I just don't think there's anything there at the moment. I mean, I play with you guys on a Friday night, and we used to play trials every Friday. And at one point, we just stopped playing. And we had all the loot well before we stopped playing. We had everything. We just kind of stopped. And I think there's a lot of people like us who still enjoy playing Destiny, but just can't be bothered to put ourselves through that on a Friday for no reason. We're not helping anyone. We're not really doing much ourselves. It's just,
I'd
rather
for the high octane, good freaking 28-0, Gary. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd rather have more. I'd have a better time with you guys sitting in quick play for the evening than I would in trials.
No, I hear you. But like with all these changes that are coming, and like we really haven't gotten into that. We probably don't even really have the time. But let's just say everything's getting a buff except Night Stalker and auto rifles. Like that's pretty much the best way to explain the update that's coming. Everything's getting a buff, whether it be damage, ammo capacity, the rate at which it's going to drop, movement speed, all this stuff that screams high octane to me. Now, is this going to be the end-all update? Is this going to be the one update that they're going to have to implement and walk away for another year? No, they're going to have to keep a very close eye on this thing, and they're going to have to evolve it with player feedback and stuff. Maybe stuff's dialed up too much. Maybe they thought they dialed stuff up enough, and we need to let them know. But this is a massive start towards completely changing the way that the Crucible feels, and it is going to feel vastly different. It is going to feel more close to Destiny 1 than Destiny 2 ever has in this current moment. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. They don't want to say we took a step back to Destiny 1. But when we're sitting here glorifying the fucking shit out of Destiny 1, you know, what do you expect to compare it to? So I feel like this change is going to get a lot of people playing. They're going to see people making high octane plays. Some people are going to come, a good amount of people are going to come back. And then I think come September, when all these changes that they've talked about are finally implemented and we get the next big expansion, I think it's going to be Destiny 1 all over again. You're going to see that reinsurgence of, I think Taken King was the biggest player population we had at one point in time.
I hope you're right, Wilson.
Wilson.
I really hope you're right, Wilson, but I think that increasing movement speed without increasing the time to kill or decreasing the time to kill, making the time to kill faster, I don't get it. Like I just don't get it.
How
You're gonna have
it's
going to be
damage
harder.
buffs not a quicker time to kill?
They're damage buffs in PvE.
They're damage buffs in PvP, like with pulse rifles and scout rifles and all that. Did I completely read the TWAB incorrect?
I think you did. Honestly, a lot of guns are getting PvE damage buffs, but the overall time to kill, they basically said they're leaving it the same in the paragraph in the Crucible.
Yeah. The reason that time to kill is going to be reduced is not through the weapon damage, not through primary damage or energy and kinetic, but the fact that abilities, supers, and power weapons are more abundant. So there'll be more variety of the way that you're engaging enemies. So I guess if you look at it holistically, there'll be quicker kills, higher kill counts, but your weapons are not going to kill people quick. Your energy and your kinetic are not going to kill people quicker.
Yeah, you'll get more access to power ammo. You'll have more supers. You'll have more, if you use the mods, the upgraded mods, you'll have more abilities.
I mean, I genuinely think at this point here, and this is just my own take, and I think the general apathy of the community, I kind of feel like Destiny is in a position
damage to PvP weapons.
On a hand cannon, I think there is.
No, not. It's body shot damage for hand cannon. It got increased. There are damage increases for PvP. 100%. Anyway,
like
continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
continue.
I just feel like the general apathy of the community at this point here, with whatever they do, people have moved on to games that they are finding more enjoyable and more fun. There wasn't the same Destiny competition in year one. I don't think the Taken King moment is going to happen to the same extent unless there is a significant change in the game, a different tilt in the game. I feel that Destiny, probably the best chance it has is to attract a new audience, not retain its old audience. I think that I'm enjoying the game for what it is. I no longer play it as my game. Like, I play it as a game that I play to have some fun with friends. It's not something that I play as an investment game, and I think a lot of people are in the same space as me, or even moved further on. I think expecting people to come back and a game that's hurt them that badly, and a game that they have that much animosity towards, expecting them to return for anything other than a complete transformation is a tall order.
All they have to do is turn it into a battle royale game. You got 50 Guardians.
All they have to do is make a different game. All they have to do is make a new engine and a new game.
Yep. 50
All
Guardians dropping down.
Scrap everything.
Yeah, I mean the world
cool.
that Destiny lives in is very different from the world that Destiny 1 lived in, right? It's like Destiny 1 was the new kid on the block. It was the one that was doing things differently, right? It was something new and something different. Destiny 2 is more of Destiny 1, and the new kids on the block that are doing something different are the PUBGs, the Fortnites, the Hunt Showdown, like these things that have like these combinations of PvE and PvP are doing something different. Things that, have 100 players on dedicated servers are doing something. It's just a different world that Destiny 2 lives in. And, if you look at, a player who played, 10 years of Call of Duty, and then Destiny did something really cool in that you could get gear, and you're still playing, a 6v6 game mode like you used to do in Call of Duty, but you've also got this PvE side that is tied in with the gear. Like, that was really new and refreshing. But then all of a sudden you got like games like PUBG and Fortnite where, it's 100 people versus me, or it's 20 versus 20 versus 20 versus 20 versus 20, or, it's a different world. And, people move on to the new and fresh stuff.
You're right, Briar. The COD community, the COD players that Destiny inherited will have wholesale moved to Fortnite. It's just more their game.
Fortnite
Destiny
is beating PUBG on Twitch, and I mean it's completely destroying it right now.
Fortnite is 60 frames on consoles. Is a game that supports and engenders a competitive community. It's a game that has skill expression in its abilities. It's not a game that I personally enjoy. This is just me, but I can see how it is being sculpted and curated towards the competitive player to attract them and retain them, because I can kill you in a way that is creative and unique to me, that expresses my skill and dominance over you. And that's something that Destiny 1 had in like these plays that you could make. I don't think Destiny 2 has on console, let's say, has the capacity to ever do that. Even with all these changes, I do not think it has. Partly the 30 frames, the limitations of the engine, the weapon system that they've got. You will not win over a Fortnite PvP player. You just won't bring them back. If they are exclusive PvP, where Destiny has a competitive advantage is the PvE PvP mix, and the fact that you have that hybrid system and that you can play both. A COD player probably doesn't appreciate that. So you have lost that to the, as Briar said, the new competitive games on the block. So Destiny's competitive PvP, I don't think in the console space will ever recover. That's my...
I don't think that like Destiny and Fortnite are very comparable, but for whatever reason, people have made it comparable. You know what I mean? Whether we wanted to or not, we're comparing Destiny to Fortnite, so. But the thing that attracts people from Destiny to Fortnite is that what you were mentioning about that high octane gameplay and being able to pick a play style that is effective for you. So when you think of Defender Bubble Chaperone, you know what I mean? Chic, Destiny Fun Police. When you think of Sky Sniping, True Vanguard. When you think of NLB Sidearm, KJ Hovey, you know what I mean? You're starting to see some of these types of plays and builds come through with Fortnite. Jump pads. Oh God, those are so much fun when you get a jump pad and you come down on another team or whatever. You're seeing a lot of people implement those.
And impulse grenades, the way people are using them.
Yeah, the impulse grenades. Yeah, the way that they're knocking players off the mountaintop. Or what I've been using them for lately is to make myself jump way higher if I don't have a jump pad, or to launch myself in a certain direction, either towards or away from danger, depending on how I'm feeling. So, but yeah, I feel like there is a lot of high octane gameplay to be had there, and I wish we'd see more of it. And I'd be kind of interested to hear Ryan's take on what he feels about Destiny 2 as a whole, or maybe what he'd like to see that could kickstart it into a direction that he'd be happy with.
A new raid.
So you a PvP or PvE?
You're PvE guy right away. Okay.
No, both, but the raid just feels very tired to me. And these little tired, these little layers just feel like it's a lazy man's way out almost. Like, we had 4 in the original game, and we've got this one that's one boss match and then a bunch of puzzles, or go out and fight a bunch of groups, but there's just not a lot of raid mechanics there. And that was the attraction to me, was raiding, coming out of, City of Heroes or WoW. raids were a big thing in those games. Now, going into Destiny was like excited. There's going to be raids, and now what we have is a boss fight, and it just kind of burns.
Right.
So,
What was your favorite raid in D1?
Anyone that we could beat with my tired ass fire team. Oh, my fire team in D1, we had it rough. We just weren't a great group of players. We just had fun together, but it wasn't.
That's the best way to play, man.
Completion was not always a guarantee. It's not like when we go in with Briar and Legend and Dakota, and we know we're going to get out of there in an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
As far moving forward, I'm just thanking God Bungie actually is listening and trying something. The no radar. Hey, the community's asking. Try something different with your game. Let us try something different. Well, it may not be the best choice, but at least they're trying. They're giving us something that we're asking for. So, thank God that they're doing that.
I really like what you said. Sorry, BC there. I really like what you've brought up there, Brian, is that we've really focused on the PvP changes and how it's driven away competitive players. But you've mentioned the raid. I didn't even think of that angle myself. I mean, do we think, maybe BC you can bounce off this point and expand your own, do we think that maybe that is where Destiny 2 can find its niche and its salvation, is to just, at this point here, stop trying to fix PvP and just accept that your game is no longer a PvP game, and just double down on, let's put our content in for PvE. Let's make, because I don't know of a first-person shared world shooter anywhere that has PvE content at the moment.
Well, for me, and Briar, you know this, whenever I play Destiny with Briar, any of you guys, or Kate, a majority of what we do is PvE. Very seldom do we just go balls to the wall with PvP. It's fun, it's enjoyable, but for me, I've always gotten a more complete experience or enjoyable experience with the PvE content. Raids, nightfalls, things of that nature that they can add and kind of change it up, spice up the game a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's very possible they could go that direction. They've got two audiences. They've got a mixture of people who play both, who enjoy both. They've also got PvE specific players and PvP specific players. And so I guess when you look at your base and see who's being retained and who's leaving, you make that decision based on that information. And if people are sticking around and they want to play more PvE content versus the people who are leaving in droves who predominantly play PvP, I wouldn't fault them at all for, going in one direction to fix. You can't fix the whole game all at one time. Games like Destiny take a lot of effort to patch and to create, these new elements of the game and these, DLCs and future content. So I mean, it's great to have a little bit of both, every time they release DLC, but if your PvP base is just leaving in droves, maybe do something for the people who are staying, show them, hey, look, you guys are still here. You're still enjoying the PvE content. Here's something really cool for you. And then, then focus on the new direction for the company, for the game.
What do you guys think they need to do to earn back a lot of people's trust? Because there's a lot of people out there who they're not just upset with the game. They feel.
I think if they had a public execution of tests firstly, and they let Briar pull the trigger, I think that would be
the man who started the revolution.
Yes, he should.
Judge, jury, and executioner.
Give Briar a Judge Dredd Guardian helmet and let him judge her publicly in front of everyone. I don't know. It's a conundrum. It's a hard thing to figure out. This is what these guys do for their job, and they have no clue what to do. So they're reaching out. They're getting ideas. They're touching their fan base. They're trying to listen. They've also got shareholders and people who they're obligated to generate income for as well. So they got to look at both sides of it: the creative aspect to keep their fans excited, and the financial aspect. So it's a very tough situation.
You need to, and my take, and then we can go round table before we move on to the last topic. I feel like Destiny maybe needs to just decide, or Bungie needs to decide what Destiny is and double down on that. Because I feel at the moment we've still got a game that, 4 years into its franchise, still does not have an identity. And that's the issue, is that this shared world shooter concept that we keep hearing, is it a shooter? Is it an MMO? Is it an RPG? You can't keep saying it's all of them, because it is also none of them. And I think that's the biggest flaw with Destiny, is tell us what it is, and then you will attract a community that will cling to that, because they're people that enjoy that thing that you're peddling. If it's a very casual surface level shooter, with super, super lightweight RPG elements that Destiny 2 has. Tell us from the start. You'll get the people that will turn up in droves for each DLC release and then depart. That's cyclic wave. If it's super hardcore, super grindy, then you won't get these casual people who come in and say, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, because it will not attract those people. Monster Hunter World is very clear in the fact that this is a challenging game. It's a difficult game. It's not trying to attract a very casual audience. That's not what it's trying to do. I think if Bungie were to be very clear, maybe not with Destiny 2, but with Destiny 3, say, this is what Destiny is, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, this is how we're supporting it, and define your audience, I think that will be the first step to trying to win back a community that will, you can foster and grow. Because at the moment, I think it doesn't have a community anymore, if I'm frankly honest.
I wouldn't mind if they went more in the direction of Borderlands, to be totally honest. To me, Borderlands is one of the most amazing first-person shooter RPG style games I ever played. The thing that made that so enjoyable to me was the amount of loot. Everything was different. Very seldom would you pick up something that was exactly the same. And if they could, do something more like that with Destiny, but it in some way, shape, or form, keep a PvP aspect into the game, maybe tone that back a little bit. That's my personal taste because I'm more of a PvE player. But if they could really breathe more life into the world building and breathe more life into the amount of loot that you could get, and that everybody inside of a lobby, no one has the same stuff. No one has the same weapons. I think that, it kind of gives you an opportunity to really have your own experience. You're not walking up to 5 people who all have the same, scout rifle. Or everybody has something different. And to me, that makes the game more enjoyable for me. Briar?
I don't remember the question. I think we should just move on.
All right.
What's the next? We got one more.
This is a funny little topic, one that I put in there. What's an adult problem that no one prepared you for? This topic actually came to me a couple of weeks ago from my beloved Kate, and it's a great topic, and we sat and talked about it in our living room. And so an example would be fruits and vegetables, because they go bad faster when you have to buy them yourself. Something that as a kid you just took for granted, as an adult, it's bullshit. So my 3 that I came up with, and you guys don't have to do 3, it's kind of just a funny topic. Disciplining your children is one that I wasn't prepared for as an adult, because as a kid, you want to get away with as much stuff as you can. If anything, you're the one being disciplined. And so when you're young, you never expect that you're going to have to grow up and put on the shoes of your parent and have to, spank butts and put people in the corner, like my daughter Nina today. She thought the couch was a trampoline, so she had to go stand in the corner. Disciplining your children, I've been doing it now for 17 years, so it's kind of easy now. But initially, it was a lot it was a lot of gravity to pull in and really understand exactly the weight of that situation. Let me see. Secondly, groceries cost so much more when you have to buy them. I remember being a kid.
Well, they don't cost anything when you don't have to buy them.
You're fucking right.
Lunchables are cheap.
They cost. Groceries cost money.
I've still not managed to accurately predict what I'm going to eat in a week, ever. Like, it is impossible to do. You either underorder or overorder. You never reach the last day on the right amount of food. I will throw away food, or it will be bare and I'm getting takeout the day before every single time without fail.
I agree.
Same with pasta as well. In fact, pasta and rice. I never know how much I'm going to eat. I've not worked that one out yet.
Did you say, was that pasta?
Pasta?
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like a pastor at a church. Okay. So last but not least, acknowledging the fact that you're getting old. Gray hairs, saggy balls, all the stuff you never think about when you're young. And, when you're a kid, a teenager.
I thought about saggy balls a lot when I was young.
Oh.
It was one of those things that was just on my mind a lot.
It's funny how we immediately got a throwback to the pastor at the church one sentence later. Amazing.
This is Revolver. This is how it happens. Just the magic just happens. But yeah, for me, I'll be 38 tomorrow. And you think about your life a lot more the older you get. You start to feel ailments and you start to feel your age, and you got 25-year-olds calling you old, and you're like, how the hell did this even happen? Right, Briar?
Exactly I think Real Good Murph summed it up with one word in the comments section, and that's hemorrhoids. It's a real pain in the ass.
So it's kind of one of those you really got to think about. Anything that maybe when you were a kid you didn't understand, and then you grew up and all of a sudden the shit hits the fan and you realize, damn, I've got to actually do this.
For me, the biggest one, the one that stands out the most is like finances, right? Is like nobody as a kid told me how to work out a budget, how to do your taxes, how to save for retirement, like all of that stuff. Like I had to piece together. I'm still piecing together some of it, but there's like where are you supposed to learn this? Shouldn't they teach us shit in school? Like what are we at school for? Like literally the same organization who is going to take your taxes. Don't you think it would behoove them to teach you how to do your taxes? It's the same fucking people.
No, because if you screw them up, they get more money. That's
right.
the hustle.
Yeah, they don't want to teach you.
Yeah, why would they teach you when they get more
episodes, money? And again, I've not been counting, but I think in 32 episodes that was the first time we've ever heard the word behoove used. So that's a monumentous occasion. I just wanted to celebrate that. We're getting intellectual on here.
I remember talking to an accountant for the first time about a 401k, and we're like, "How come nobody told me about this? Like, this is important shit."
Actually, they did in my high school.
They told you?
They taught us how to fill out like our W-2.
We had a home ec class in high school, and they taught us how to sew pillows that spelled out our names, which comes up all the fucking time.
Way more applicable than doing your taxes.
We're saving for retirement.
How many times a day do you sleep? At least 2. I do, anyway. And then how many times a year do I do my taxes? Well, it depends on how I'm feeling.
So I had a couple that I thought were weird. One was living with another human. And that's something that you never prepared for, because you take 1 or 2 fucking up before you realize that you're the problem. And that's something that you don't realize. You just think, why are these people such fucking horrible people to live with? And you don't realize that it's you all along. And that maybe you need to give a little bit. And then no one tells you that. People just think that you find someone you're compatible with. And I'm not talking just a roommate here. I'm talking like a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. You realize that actually, no, you need to give a little bit, and you don't just meet this fairy tale partner that everything's going to work with. Like, it is give and take. But like I said, you don't realize that early on. And the second thing that I think that you don't get prepared for is how much shit just happens and you miss it constantly. And that's just things like just things that happen. Like, this is the last. I saw something that was a meme on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it was, but totally true. At one point, you and your best friend, when you were growing up, went out to play for the last time, and neither of you realized that was the last time, so never celebrated it.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
I just thought about that a couple of days ago, right? Ellie, she's walking around the house, she's picking up shit and breaking remotes, and I remember just recently she was in her bouncer, and we connected to the ceiling and she'd bounce. And then I looked at Kate and I said, "Damn, we didn't."
We have one of those in our bedroom too. That thing is.
It's awesome, man. That's where Ellie's is now. But I told Kate, I said, the last time she was in that bouncer, we didn't even know it. We didn't even know the last time she was in the walker, or she was in her playpen. It's just horrible. Yeah.
Right. Basically, you've got older kids now, teenage kids or young adult kids. So, do you remember that there would have been a point that was the last time that they said...
gang over there.
There would have been a last time that you picked them up and held them, carried them as a kid, when you carried them because they were tired, or you put them on your shoulders, and neither of you celebrated that moment or took it as a memory.
You're breaking my heart.
But I'm just saying, there's moments like that just pass and you completely forget them. The last time you spoke to a friend and you just never spoke to that person again. You just, you meant to. It wasn't
I
like
want to take this moment to let you guys know I love you. About a year and a half ago, one of my best friends passed away. He was younger than me. He had a rupture in his bowel, and I told you guys about it when it happened. And his bile from his bile duct was leaking into his bloodstream, and he caught sepsis and died. And I was there. His brother didn't even tell me what was going on. He called me and said, "Man, Damien's in the hospital. He's on life support." I thought it was a joke. And this is the kind of friend who we grew up playing Tekken together and Soul Calibur. He'd never win, but we always goof off and play. And one time I went to the grocery store and I came outside. He was in his car. He was the very first car, and I walked out, and he had his head behind like the bar of his door. And as I walked past, he was like doing this, so I couldn't see him. I was like, "Who the fuck is this weird guy?" We just had some funny ass moments like that. And I went to the hospital, and he ended up passing away. It fucking killed me. That I wasn't able to. He came over to hold my Final Fantasy sword and take pictures, and I wasn't able to tell him, I love you, bro. I appreciate you. I've known you for 20 years. And the last time I saw him was...
How did that happen?
I don't know the exact, I'm not him, but he stopped coming around because his mom was in the hospital, broken down. But she said the reason he would only come and stay for a little bit of time is because that bile was leaking and he had no control of his bowels. I don't know if he took some kind of something for his colon or something, but he had a tear in his bowel, and whenever he would eat certain foods, yeah, Briar, and the guy died at 35 years old.
So this is like a long-term thing?
No, I think it was over the course of like a 2-year thing, but he didn't have health insurance. And he was getting real sick.
Health insurance, that's another fucking thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have health insurance for like my entire 20s.
Yeah. He has health insurance, and he's a male, and I guess this stuff was leaking out of him. Like, he'd come over to my apartment, and this is one of my dearest friends, man. He'd sit down and goof off with me for like 10 or 15 minutes. He said, "All right, man, I gotta go." And I'd be like, "Damn, it's not like it used to be." He'd stay for 2, 3, 4 hours, get a haircut. He'd be there for 20 minutes, but his mom told me that,
well, he's got to pack a lot of shit in. He's about to die.
Yeah,
you're literally on his bucket list. You should fucking feel thankful.
Yeah, well, he could look. The doctor said if he had came to the hospital 2 months prior, he would have survived. But he didn't have insurance, and he was embarrassed of his situation. But they said he was just so weak, and he looked down at the bottom of his bed that night in the hospital and told his mom he wanted to see her face because he couldn't see her. So she moved her chair to the bottom of his bed. He told her he loved her, and he had a heart attack right then in the hospital. Like, he fell asleep and died that night. But yeah, man, you never know when the last time is going to be. That's why you got to take every minute you can to validate people. So I validate you guys. I want you guys to know you really do mean something to me. Even you, Ryan, the new guy. I love you guys to death. I love people in general. And
I got to go get my colon checked out.
Right?
Beastly up here scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah, literally, right? I mean, it was a really bad,
Anybody got one of them like stethoscope things that you can they look at your ears with?
I don't mind. Mine gets a fair bit of use too.
You gonna stick that in your ass, rabbit? You gonna let this rabbit
see on my own? I'm not that flexible.
Okay.
So somebody's gonna have to help me out.
Mr. Rabbit, actually watching
check
this
mine.
right now.
I'll have Gary check mine the next time. Never mind.
Is this like a
Just ask that spider to do it.
Yes, that spider.
I thought we said we weren't going to talk about the spider anymore.
Real quick before we leave, though, because I know it's almost time. One of the topics earlier, and Gary asked me what I was most looking forward to out of this new PC. I swear, one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is playing with you guys. I was a kid who was left out. It was my own choice because I'm a.
We can't wait, man. We're gonna be playing all sorts of fucking Destiny on PS4 this week. It's gonna be awesome.
We need to play. Do you know what?
I just need
We
to get
need
a sim.
to play World of Warcraft finally. We've been speaking about doing the World of Warcraft stream, and we have a whole crew to do it.
Yeah,
We
World
need
of
to get on that
Warcraft,
trial.
I think would be hilarious. Beastly, you got to buy Destiny so we can play Destiny together. As much as we bitch about it, we still play it a ton.
Yeah, I'm just.
PUBG, you already
you guys
own.
to buy a game that I fucking recommend.
PUBG, we already own.
Guys, the people watching and listening, never become these assholes friends because I tell you now, it's a one-sided relationship. They'll all tell you every game you need to buy, but as soon as you say, "Hey, why don't you try this?" "Oh, we don't want to play that shit." That's exactly what's happening here.
Hey, that really cute game with the little guys fighting looks really fun for your kids. But
you
I just
fuck. You talking about fucking Smash Brothers? You fuck.
I mean, Gary's even got figurines of them.
I have action figures.
He's got dolls of them, action figures.
Really get down with Smash Brothers to show them what's up. Smash is the game, man.
Yeah, BC, I'm excited too, man. I'm glad that we'll have an opportunity to play some of these games that PUBG is a big one. We can play some Fortnite. Wilson can carry us to victory at Fortnite. I'd love to play with you in some Hunt. The Hunt Showdown is like serious my addiction right now.
I want to learn how to play it, so let me know when you're ready. I'm going to be playing all night. I'm going to just... Ooh, Doom just installed. Great. Super excited.
I want a live reaction as it happens, as you turn 144 hertz up, get up from your hospital bed and start punching skeletons in that room. I want to see the reaction.
Briar,
you need to start vlogging these reactions you have when you
Well,
blew
look,
up a game for the first
Briar,
time.
let me know when you're ready, because you walked me through the setup for my laptop. I need you to walk me through it again for this desktop, because I can actually stream on this thing. I'm super excited about doing some of that, playing some PUBG and
Nice.
some other first-person shooters and just having fun. It's going to be very liberating. I can't wait. I need to get rid of you motherfuckers right now and play some games.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited about some games.
I'm starving, so let's end this shit.
Do we want to thank Ryan and tell the audio listeners where they can find him and why the hell he was here?
Yes.
Yeah, Brian. So first of all, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
And
this has been more fun than I can ever tell you.
Yeah, man. And in case some people are just tuning in, why don't we go ahead and have you tell them where they can find you and what sort of service you provide?
So on air PC pretty much anywhere. Twitter, I think it's on air PC 1.
Yep.
And you can give us a call 330-850-1525. That's the easiest way.
Get your Revolver loot crate.
Man, I can't wait to get mine.
Yeah,
so it'll be in the mail tomorrow.
You were showing me those pictures earlier, and I was just like, God, I can't wait to see them.
I can't wait to get the Revolver cock rings printed out, man. Those things are going to be selling like hotcakes.
Did we nix the condoms?
Yeah, we need to definitely do that.
Just for everyone that's listening to our continuous segment, which seems to be going on, Cisco Facts, which we started last week. Facts about the rapper and artist Cisco. He lives in Maple Grove, which is situated in Minnesota, and he also has a guitar in the shape of the dragon. Thank you for listening.
Did you just dox Cisco?
I did not dox Cisco. He lives in Maple Grove, which is a town in Minnesota. So if you want to drive around every house in Maple Grove and knock on the door, eventually you will find Cisco. You'll find the dragon.
Do you own a dragon-shaped guitar, man?
That's how I found Briar. I just waited at Best Buy until he had to go buy a new mouse.
Yeah.
Once a week at this point. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Oh, that's genius.
Unleash the dragon, boys.